Good afternoon. I guess it's evening now. Boys, girls, and MBs of all shapes, sizes, colors, and orientations. Welcome to the one and only Alec Gunter stream. My name is Alec Gunter. So good to be here. Damn it, I forgot my chain. Hold on. My chain pulls this whole outfit together. Hold on 1 second. I need that. That's important. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in. Hopefully, it's not choppy for you guys. It looks choppy for me. As long as it's not choppy for you, I don't care. But welcome in, welcome in. This is going to be my first debate in a while. So we'll see how I do. If I utterly fucking fail, I'm sorry. I will be committing seppuku as an apology. But if I do well, then I expect you all to give me all of your money. That's the trade-off. Honestly, like, in all seriousness, it's a little choppy. Nah, shit. Doesn't seem choppy to me. How we doing? Choppy? No? Not too bad, though. If it's too choppy, I'm resetting. It's like 45 frames out of 60. Seems fine on my end. It seems like most people think that it's fine, and even the person who pointed it out is not complaining about it too bad. So we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it. It's fine. You know what I can do? Here, hold on. I'm gonna record something real quick just so that we can see. Make sure that we got good quality going, and that's good right there. Let's take a look. I really got to download more RAM. I look at stats and it's only 331 frames dropped out of 20,000. Okay, it should be 0. I'm a perfectionist. And also, I got to figure out what's going on with the autofocus on my Sony. I have to turn off the autofocus. But when I turn it off, like, the problem is it doesn't focus on me properly. Yeah, well, I gotta get it while RAM is still cheap. Alright, let's take a look here. It does look a little choppy, but it's whatever. Uh-oh. You saw my personal files. Let me just make sure there's no tax documents in here. Oh wait, I X'd out my media player. Hold on. I don't think there were any tax files. Wasn't the last debate the species guy? That sounds right. That was at least the last one I uploaded. There are a lot of debates that I just never bothered to upload. I'll try to make sure this is not one of them. Do we have the document of sources and stuff up already? We don't need sources where we're going. We're running with the I made it the fuck up strategy today. I think it'll work well in my favor. What I was saying though is, in all seriousness, I'm really not that concerned. I don't, so for one thing, right, this is just for blood sports. Somebody, oh shit, I forgot to replace the cord in my camera. That came in today and I forgot to replace it. Should I do that real quick? No, if I do that, I might have to reset the stream. We're running with it. So anyway, sorry, ADHD moment. Let me get my thought out. I don't care that much, like, what people on the other side think of how I did, because no matter what happens, they're going to think that their guy won, and that'll just be the end of it for them. You guys, I want you to use your critical thinking skills. If you do have any critiques for me from this debate, you are more than welcome to provide them. I am telling you right now, though, I didn't prepare for this. I don't really care that much. Like, obviously, if I flop really bad, which I don't anticipate, but if I flop really bad, then yeah, we'll talk about it. But I don't see that happening, because I don't know that there's anything I can say or do that's, like, more stupid than what these people are saying and doing right now. My preparation was one solid bong rip. Yeah, I can't do that right now. I have to prepare for a drug test. I got clinicals coming up. I might have to cut back to one stream a week when clinicals start. It's going to be really sad. But yeah, no smokerino for me, no. It's fine anyways. I'm also cutting back on drinking. And in recent uploads, I've kind of noticed that I look a little bit sloshed, and I don't like that. I don't want that to be the impression people get of me. So I'm going to refrain, especially on stream, from smoking and drinking as much as I used to. It's not a good look. Did the debating start? If it did, the other guy's really quiet. We're starting in about 3 minutes. I don't really have much to show you in the way of crochet projects. I've been very busy this week with other such things, but I did finish this one. Well, almost finished. The only thing that this one's missing is some pinstripes on the pants. You guys may recognize this person. Yes, Lagoshi. So this was a commission, $60 dues. If you would like to commission me, the easiest way to hit me up is on Discord, and we can talk it over there. I take PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, or we can just open up, or you can just dono me here. People have donoed me here for their commissions. If you trust me. Technically, that counts as a donation, not a purchase. So, like, if you don't get your product, you can't sue me. I can just argue that you donated to me. Which I wouldn't do. I would try to correct things with you, but you know, I'm just letting you know that that is the case. That wasn't expected? Yeah, I posted it on community posts. Do you take silver talents? Do you take shekels? I take American dollars, okay? I'm a true red-blooded American, and I only take American units. Anyway, so that's what I've been working on. Other than that, I don't really have much to show you. I gotta try to finish up some of these projects that I've just had hanging. Because I keep having new ideas for new projects, and then I just don't finish the ones that I've started. It's an ADHD thing. It's really bad. But I gotta fight it. Okay, it's 6:59. They are likely waiting on me, so I am going to jump in. But like I said, if you want commissions, I am taking commissions. I just took a commission for a $350 Vulpix, life-sized Vulpix doll. I sold off a $275 Haunter doll as well. I'm also doing a couple others. I'm trading an AG slash for a knife. So if you're another crafts person, I do trades. I think trades are fun. So I'm not an AG slash. It's going to be a Hone Edge, the first evolution. So if you're a crafts person, you make crafty things like I do. I'm always open to a trade. I'm always open to discussing that as well. Okay, I guess we got to get in here. Let's do this thing. I'm going to start the recording. Sorry if the volume is... Prepare your ears. I don't know how loud it's going to be, so just prepare for that. 3, 2, 1.
Force me to work on the Sundays. Alec is here.
Hello?
Let's get him up here.
Oh, here we go.
Hello,
hold
Alec.
on, let me get my camera on. Yes, hello. Let me get my camera
How's
on.
it going?
Just want to say I'm a big fan of you, Alec. I watch your YouTube. I don't make streams often because I have a weird work schedule. So, but I do watch your YouTube videos. So, I just really appreciate you coming here and doing this.
Yeah, of course. Aren't you the moderator though?
Yes, yes.
Uh-oh. Moderator bias is showing. People are going to accuse me of cheating.
It's okay. It's okay. No, see, that's
You
the
have to go
thing
extra
is,
hard on me now.
it's yes, exactly. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Well, you got the positive claims. You know,
I promise you, I will probably be quiet for most of it, and it will be the two of you, because Brian here has very, very interesting views. If I'm not mistaken, haven't both of you been on Jubilee once or twice?
Once, yes.
Yes, and Brian's been there twice, so technically
Yeah.
two Jubilee participants. I see.
Wow. Were you on there as a were you on a Surrounded episode, Alec?
No,
or-
I was on there for black conservatives versus white liberals. That's the one that
Gotcha.
Destiny
So-
was on, if that rings a bell.
Got you. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know why it's so small. Is there a way to make this bigger? Because, like, right now, it's just showing 3 small feeds in the top. I'd like the feeds to, like, be taking up the whole screen. If you guys know how. If not, it's fine. I'll deal with it.
I can make like.
Oh, you're saying you want a large screen?
Yeah, like if it's possible, I like this like the 3 camera feeds, or at least me and Augustine, to be front and center. Because right now it just looks like we're sitting very small at the top. But I don't want to delay anything.
No, you're fine. Let's see what we can do.
Okay, I appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm not good with technology, so I wouldn't have any idea.
Ah, gotcha. I can always put what was it called? Sewer runner. What is not sewer runner? What's the app called? Now the joke's ruined. I took too long. The one that is
not,
it's
not
put on there for all
familiar.
the ADHD kids whenever there's like a YouTube short or a TikTok.
Oh, Subway Surfers.
Subway Surfers,
Yeah.
that's the one.
Don't worry. Yeah, we'll hold up. Let's get some to do that. I don't know how to change it, so I think we could just jump into it as far as I'm concerned, if that's fine with the two of you.
Okay. Also,
Yeah, no
one more
problem.
thing. Sorry if my camera is staticky. It's an old one, and I have 2 different cameras set up, for one for stream and one for this.
Hey man.
Yeah, I'm on a MacBook, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you see Brian's quality. So
Oh, no worries.
but so this is Platinum Politics Debate Night. Welcome, gentlemen. Guess I'll just let everybody know the structure of tonight's debate. You will be presented with one of the following topics, which I'll get to in a second, in no particular order. You will be given 3 minutes each to state your position on the topic. We'll discuss who will go first, and then we'll just go back and forth from there. We will do 3 minutes each for rebuttals, and then finally I will open the floor for about 15 to 20 minutes, moderate as needed. I will give 2-minute warnings, 30-second warnings, and then we'll repeat until we finish all the topics. How's
Cool.
that sound?
Yeah, I got about till 5:36ish. I don't know if that works for you guys, but
All right, yeah, no,
I think 2 hours should cover it, or like an
Okay.
hour and a half, right?
yeah.
4
We have
topics.
4. Yeah, we have 4 topics, so about
Yep.
6 minutes plus 20-ish minutes. Yeah, probably about an hour and a half. So,
Cool.
do you guys prefer one go first? I could say Brian, just to get rid of that moderator bias really quick.
Yeah, I can
toss?
do whatever. I don't
okay.
I don't have like a prepared opening statement, but I could just give one.
All right.
Yeah, I haven't prepared very
so-
much either. It's all good.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So the first claim is children should be allowed to socially transition without parental consent.
Okay, and so you want me to make like a positive claim on that?
Yeah, just make what is your position on the claim?
Okay, so my claim would be that not only should children not be able to transition at all, including socially, but we shouldn't tolerate it with adults. Unlike a lot of conservatives, I do believe that there is such a thing as gender identity. I mean, we know that gender roles exist, so we have to admit that gender identity exists. I just believe that I have an epistemic principle that displays that we, as human beings, have a natural obligation to align our gender identity with our biological sex. I don't think children, we can get into all this stuff. I don't think children have the full ability to consent. We go through a bunch of things like tattoos, piercings, other cosmetic surgeries that they might want. And they wouldn't have the ability to consent to anything like that. And I believe the Hippocratic Oath explicitly prohibits all of the gender affirming care. Specifically, I know our friend here is a nurse, and I know that you guys take a different oath, which specifically talks about prescribing medications that do harm to people. So I would say that that oath would probably apply to, chemical castration drugs that do long, lasting and damaging effects. As for socially transitioning, like I said, I think that if I'm not mistaken, I believe the was this topic having to do with schools or no? This had nothing to do with
this one was not specifically. It just said that they
This is
should be
legal.
allowed to socially transition without
Got you.
parental.
Okay, so number one, there's a couple things that we could touch on. So we can touch on like things such as subsidiarity and federalism. This is obviously not in the Constitution. It's not a topic that was talked about in the Constitution. So if you'd like to approach it that way, we could talk about federalism. And I believe that each state has the moral right to do whatever they want when it comes to like these kinds of things. I also believe that you're making a positive moral claim when you talk about things like transgenderism. You're making a claim based on metaphysics. You're not making any physical claims. So what we're going to have to do is start talking about metaphysics, because then you involve your religion in the state, which has to do with the school. So yeah, I would definitely, there would be a lot of things that we could touch on in this topic. I don't know what our friend is here. I don't know his worldview. I don't know if he's like a utilitarian, what a consequentialist or an atheist or what he is, but I think we'll be able to clear it up better and have a better conversation once he kind of explains his positive position on this topic. But yeah, I would say that my final position is that it is never okay to socially, medically, physically transition anybody because it's just not a falsifiable claim. It's just it's a fake claim. Men cannot be women, women cannot be men, and that's it. Yeah.
All right, Alec, you have 3 minutes to make your or to state your position on the claim.
Okay, there's a few things to address there, but I'll just start with my, thoughts on it, I guess. So first of all, we're talking specifically about social transitioning. So I heard some things about medication. None of that has anything to do with the prompt here. We're talking strictly about children, or in your case, you don't even think that adults should be allowed. So anybody really expressing the gender that they wish to express, which as we've established and as you've said already, Augustine, that would be gender and sex are two different concepts. So gender has to do with expression and gender roles and how society is treating you. And obviously sex is the more biological component of that, which you have primary and secondary sexual characteristics and hormones and all that good stuff. But we're not talking about that second part. We're talking about strictly socially transitioning to be the gender identity that you more closely align with, which I think is perfectly fine and good and dandy for whoever the hell wants to do it. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're an adult, a child, whatever. And frankly, I don't think you need your parents' permission to do it either. Once we start to get into the medical stuff, we can talk about permission and assent and consent and whatever else. But as far as socially transitioning, why would you need your parents' consent to do that? I don't understand. If you have parents who do not like trans people and you are let's say a trans 9-year-old going to school, and you decide you want to dress up as a boy when you're leaving when you're leaving home to go to school, but then you have like a dress in your closet and you want to put on the dress in the changing room, I don't see a problem with that. And then you go by Mia instead of Mark. I don't see a problem with that one bit. And I don't think that anybody needs to inform the parents of this. It doesn't matter. It's simply like you wouldn't inform the parents, for instance, if like you decide to go by a different nickname. Like if your name is Alexander, and somebody decides to call you Al. Hey, Big Al, how you doing? oh no, that's not my real name. We have to call home now and tell them that the teachers are trying to groom. That's silly. That's very silly. So socially transitioning, I feel like there's no issue with it whatsoever. It is strictly an expression of your gender identity. It's clothes that you wear. It's the name that you go by. It's how you prefer to be addressed by your peers and by those around you. And I don't think that requires the consent of any party outside of the party expressing their gender.
All right, is that all, Alec?
Yes, thank you.
All right. We will give Brian or Augustine the 3 minutes uninterrupted to make an argument against that claim or against your point.
Yeah, you could
Okay.
call me Brian, by the way. Yeah, so I would just so are we doing 3 minutes just like kind of as a rebuttal period, and then we'll open the floor up and then do like critiques?
Yeah. That's what we'll
Okay.
do.
Yeah, so I would say that as I've already established, I have a epistemological view, right, that derives from an actual like theological text, and my view is based on obviously Christian ethic. So I would say that you do have a duty, right, to align your gender identity with your biological sex. Things like I've seen people, in this space kind of say like, oh, so in social transitioning, then why should men be able to like just like wear a dress, right? That's not doing anything, that's not going any further, that's not transitioning somebody medically. Although if that was the case, then I would just ask the person, okay, so let's ban if you want them to just be able to socially transition, then if that's the argument, then we should just ban everything else and then let people socially transition. Although that's not the prompt. So when speaking about the prompt, I believe that my worldview asserts that people should not view their role in civilization primarily through the lens of rights and entitlements. We should view ourselves through the lens of duties and obligations. This is how civilization functions. We can look at throughout history what historians have acknowledged that when civilizations start viewing themselves in kind of the latter way, right, where you have people saying, oh, what are my rights, what are my entitlements, you get a lot of societal decay and economic collapse because people are only obsessed about what is beneficial towards their own feelings. It's a great book on this called The Age of the Psychological Man. If anyone here wants to read it. I believe that we are called to do certain things. It's the first commandment that God gives us in my text, in the Bible, is to be fruitful and multiply. I don't believe and if our friend here is a consequentialist or a utilitarianist, a Benthamist, a Nietzschean, whatever he is, you would have to say that, and I'd love to learn what you are later, but you would have to say, you'd have to make a positive claim like, oh, how is it beneficial for a giant group of people to identify as the opposite sex or even have sterile sex with people of the same sex or to sterilize themselves with chemical castration drugs or do these things. These are non-beneficial to civilization. I think we ought to do things that are aligned with our biological sex because that is the case. And I think that we should behave like this because it's beneficial to human civilization. And I don't think that I just don't view it in the same way. I think that we have duties and obligations, not rights and entitlements. So yeah, you can go ahead, Alec.
Yeah, I don't care
All
what you
right.
think my duty is. I don't care about your religion. It's not mine. I don't believe in your God. You're more than welcome to believe in whatever God you so choose. Present yourself the way you'd like to present yourself. Pray the way that you like to pray. Go to the religious institutions that you personally would like to go to. And worship the way you want to. I believe that's your right as a human being. It's also my right as a human being to say, I don't believe in that. I don't have any duty to your God, okay? You don't get to decide my role. I do. I believe in freedom, okay? I believe in the freedom to wear whatever the hell I want, date whoever the hell I want, and live however the hell I want, as long as I'm not hurting other people. If tomorrow I decided I wanted to put on a dress, some makeup, and some high heels, and strut around down the street with my full-grown beard still intact, I believe that I should be allowed to do so freely and without consequence to my person. Unfortunately, we currently live in a time, thanks to people like our friend here, whereas that is not safe to do. We've actually seen harm come to, who was that voice actor for King of the Hill? I can't recall their name right now. But he was a gay man. I believe, I don't know if the person he was dating is trans. I don't know the exact details of the issue, but He's been getting threats for, I believe, about a year. He came home to his dog being killed and, I believe, displayed. And some neighbor came out, started yelling transphobic and homophobic slurs at them, and then shot at his partner. And then he pushed that partner out of the way and took the bullet. So he's now dead as a result of this horrific worldview. If you want to worship your God, present yourself the way you want to, that's fine. Don't push that shit on me, and don't push that shit on my kids.
All right.
Cool. Just
All right. So now we are going to get to the we'll say 15 minutes on this topic. Open floor. And time starts now.
Sure.
cool. Just to correct the record for a second. The police are not investigating the King of the Hill voice actor murder as a hate crime. It's
I don't
obviously
care.
not a hate crime. So that's number one. Number
It's
two,
obviously not.
he,
Can you substantiate that? How is it obviously not? Do you deny the
Yes.
facts that I've stated?
yes, I do.
Okay,
want me to
which
explain
facts? So they weren't screaming
Okay, so number
transphobic and
one-
homophobic slurs, right?
So number one, the voice actor burnt down his own house and admitted it right after that happened, and his animal died in the fire. You can look it up. After it happened, he was like, "Oh yeah, I think I made a in the police report." He said he made a mistake and he left his I think it was some sort of like propane heater on. Number two, he was obviously a drug addict. He married and kind of a pederast. He married a very young trans man, or obviously a woman. So he's not a homosexual. He's a straight person who's dating a person who's confused about their sex. And he constantly and consistently walked around the neighborhood with weapons, threatening people. He shot at his husband before in their property, and that's multiple police reports. This happened constantly, all the time. And he was shot because he was roaming around the neighborhood, screaming and ranting and raving with a pitchfork in his hand, threatening people. And so he was shot. There isn't any evidence, corresponding evidence from witness testimony about any transphobic or homophobic slurs being hurled at somebody when at the person when he was killed, just by the obviously psychotic spouse themselves, who has gotten everything wrong about the case. So who's completely just lied about the case.
The
So that's
story
number one.
goes that they found the skull of their dog and the dog's harness placed out front, causing them to begin yelling and crying. Are you denying this?
Yes, you can go look at
that
the
didn't
actual
happen.
case.
So-
You can
so
go
once-
actually look at the-
So once we have more like details and we know more specifics, and if it comes out that that was in fact the case and they did find the dog there, you will retract this?
Sure. Why don't you look up
Okay.
the police report where they said the dog was killed in the fire?
I don't believe the police.
Well, he said that the dog was killed in the fire. They lost their dog in the fire. That's what happened. But besides the point, this is all like, I understand. There's been, we could go through a couple instances of people, being hateful and violent towards trans, so-called trans people. I
They're
wouldn't
just
say
trans
that we
people.
should.
You don't need the air quotes.
Well, they're not trans people is an ontologically invalid form of existence.
I don't care what you think about that. They're trans people.
No,
They exist
no,
as the
absolutely.
gender that they would like to exist as. They identify as trans. This is a sociological structure that has been studied by sociologists and accepted by science and medicine. And this is just how people are. Like, this is not an air quote trans thing. This is just like, that's silly.
Well, number one, there are professionals, medical professionals that disagree with the
Okay, they're
with
wrong.
the categorization. There's sociologists that disagree. I don't appeal to consensus, and I don't appeal to any sort of like nonsensical claims of what do you call it? Credentialism. I believe that we can analyze
Nonsensical
the
claims of
facts on the ground.
Then who do you trust?
Yeah, I don't believe in
Like
credentialism.
medical wise, do you trust the APA, American Psychiatric Association?
Not really, no.
No. Do you trust like the American Nurses Association?
Do you
American
trust
Pediatric?
the
Do you trust the Endocrine Society?
do you trust
I asked you a
HHS
question.
under Robert Kennedy?
I asked you a question. Do you trust the Endocrine Society?
Well, yeah, I'm just providing.
Let's say you had
I'm
diabetes.
providing example.
What's the course of treatment for diabetes?
You take insulin.
Yeah.
You monitor your blood sugar.
Yeah. So guess who is
Also,
like
yeah.
the over overarching authority of diabetic care? The Endocrine Society.
Probably. Okay. Yeah.
The Endocrine Society.
Which
So
is part
you
of the
trust
NIH.
so you trust the Endocrine Society's statements when it comes to the care of diabetes, correct?
Yeah, some I would have to
Okay.
analyze what, but your claim is that men are
You would have to
winning,
analyze
so-
that. So you don't trust them then.
No, I can.
What would
yeah,
you?
I don't.
What would,
I don't
okay, let's say that you were diagnosed with diabetes. What would you personally do? What would you take?
If I was diagnosed with diabetes, I would do my own research and I would come to the conclusion based on different expertise, different people of different expertise. I would look up, oh, what's better here, what's better there. If I'm deciding what vaccines to take, that's what I do. I look up who says what about the vaccines and what opinion do I trust more? Do I trust people that have lied to me in the past, like Fauci, NIH, those people, or do I trust other people who
So
haven't
you
lied to me
don't
in
trust the
past?
Endocrine Society, is that correct?
No, I would use my own deductive.
Okay, that's really
skills
stupid.
'cause I'm a human.
That's really stupid.
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
Do you trust the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the NIH under him right now?
Not currently, no.
Oh, well then that ruins your principle.
He was appointed by Donald Trump. That does not ruin my principle. He doesn't have any formal training.
He was running as a Democrat less than 2 years ago for
I don't
president.
fucking care what he's running as.
Okay.
This is not a Republican
Yeah, but you
Democrat
just
thing.
you destroyed your own principle. You said that
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
Here's
This is
my
not
claim.
about
My claim
this
is
is not about their authority. This is about having the data and research to back up the shit that you say, which you don't. Okay?
Hey, listen. So
And I do.
So here's what I just said. Here's what I just said. I said I don't trust certain institutions because of the ideological slant that they have. So I do.
What
my own
institutions
research.
do you
You
trust?
said that.
What
hold on one
ideological slant does the Endocrine Society have, brother? Go ahead.
Hold on one second. Finish that. So then you
Mhm.
said that's ridiculous. You should just blindly trust the institution.
No, I didn't say
Then I
blindly
said,
trust. Don't put words in my fucking mouth, you cretin. I said I trust them because they have the data to back it up. Do they not? They have plenty of data. I can
Okay.
send it to you.
Okay, so does Robert Kennedy not have a bunch of data that shows the COVID
No,
vaccine
he
was
doesn't.
not effective?
No, he doesn't. He's
Oh, he
bullshitting.
doesn't?
He's
Okay.
bullshit. It's
Well,
interesting that
that's
you
the
trust
NIH
that
agreement.
fucker. He thinks that Steak and Shake is healthy for you
I
for
didn't
some
say I
goddamn
trusted
reason.
him, did I? I asked you if you trust him.
No.
And you said that I don't use deductive reasoning, but he was hired by Donald Trump, therefore I'm not going to.
So you don't
I'm
trust
not going
RFK?
to- I didn't say whether.
Oh,
I trust him or
yeah,
not.
you can't say one way or the other if you trust RFK, right? You don't know. Not sure on that one.
No, I can tell you on certain things that I trust him on, and I can tell you certain things I don't trust him on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily trust the Trump administration because they're ideologically captured as well. But yeah, I don't trust everything that he has to say. No, I don't trust anything that everybody has to say. But you're appealing to credentialism, so I'm saying, oh, okay, so now
They have the
you're
data,
appealing to the
man. Do you believe in science? Do you believe in the scientific process?
The endocrine society, that is a branch of the NIH. The NIH is a branch of the HHS. The HHS agrees with me on a bunch of stuff right now during this current administration, and you would say, "Oh, no, I don't agree with it because the guy who appointed him, I disagree with ideologically."
All of the
Okay, so
medical,
it destroys you.
all of the major medical institutions in this nation right now in the United States agree that gender-affirming care, including social transitioning, medical transition, which we're only talking about social right now, so we can get back to that in a second.
Yep.
But they all agree that this is healthy and positive for trans people of any age. All of them.
Why should I care about that?
Because that's science. If you care about children not harming themselves, then you would care about that. Do you care about children
So
not
number
harming
one-
themselves, or do you want them to harm themselves? Is that what you want?
Well, I care.
It sounds
about
like
children
it.
harming themselves, but there's a no.
Okay.
I don't want
So
children
so
harming
then you
themselves.
believe in
I care
social transitioning then, right?
No.
Then you want kids to harm themselves.
No, I don't. That's
Yeah,
an
you
appeal
do.
to emotion.
That's
all.
the no, that's
Fair
not an
enough.
appeal to emotion. That's the outcome of your fucked up worldview, man. I'm not doing this shit.
Is it?
Yes.
What about Oxford? What about the Oxford study that just came out?
The Oxford study, which one? I'm not aware of it.
Okay, so there was an Oxford study. I was actually fact-checked correct on the Jubilee video on this. There was an Oxford study that came out that showed that anxiety, depression, suicidality, suicide attempts, and suicide all went up significantly after social transition. And that study just came out.
Why do you trust that
Like
study and
in-
not like the hundreds of others that we have showing the efficacy of this procedure? Why Oxford?
Well, there's studies that I have as well. But like I said, the Oxford study. Do you actually want to know why I might trust that study?
Sure.
over the other studies? Well, because it's the largest study. It has the most. It had 177,000 people participating in it, and it had a 12-year time period in which the study was taking place. A lot of these studies, like done by the American Association of Pediatrics, they'll do a check-in after like 3 months. They'll be like, "Oh, how are you enjoying your or your gender transition?" And it'll be like 3 months later. Of course, they still have gender euphoria, right? They just got the thing done. They don't check in after 5 years, 10 years. That's typically when the suicidality kicks in after a little bit of time.
So just so I'm clear, you trust this Oxford study, right? This is the study examining gender-specific mental health risks after gender-affirming surgery, a national database study. That's the one?
I'm more inclined to trust it because
You're more inclined. Oh, you're backtracking a little bit here.
No, I'm
not
more
as confident now, are you? You're the one who posited this study. Do you trust it? You must trust it, right? Say it with your chest, man.
I don't.
No, I don't know, right?
You want me to explain?
Since you're the one who posited the study, let's move on to what the study says. Conclusion: gender-affirming surgery, while beneficial in affirming gender identity, is associated with increased risk of mental health issues, underscoring the need for ongoing gender-sensitive mental health support for transgender individuals post-surgery. Where in there does it say we shouldn't do it?
Oh, so here, I'll explain it to you right now. So here's what it does. Oxford is ideologically captured.
By the way, I know this study now, by the way. I have a few things to say about it, but I'll let you go on.
So it actually comes to certain conclusions. It says, this is what the study says. It says suicidality, anxiety, depression, suicide attempts all go up after gender transition.
Incorrect.
But then
that is a lie. You just lied.
No.
Yes, you did.
You can look at the study.
I am looking at the study. It is associated. So people who seek out the surgeries are the ones who have more mental health problems associated with them. That makes sense, right? You have more mental health issues as a result of increased gender. I can't think of the words right now. No. You have increased mental health problems because of your dysphoria. Okay, you have stronger dysphoria. That's why you go to seek the surgery, because your dysphoria is stronger. If your dysphoria is stronger, you seek the surgery. So people who get the surgery are going to have worse mental health outcomes than those who don't. That makes sense, right? This is like arguing people who are on vents. People who are on vents actually have worse, are more likely to die of respiratory complications. So we shouldn't use vents, right?
Yeah, that's not what the study says.
That is what the study says. That's what the study says. That's what it says.
It's not what it says whatsoever. The study says
that is literally what it says, man. I don't know what to tell you.
So they can measure.
This is why I haven't done a debate until now. You people are fucking idiots.
And also, okay. Well, so also all of this is relying on self-reported data. That's number one. Number two.
Oh, okay. So you don't trust the study then, even though you're the one who said it, right?
I already told you. I already told you. I don't. I'm.
Do you trust the study or not? You don't trust everything in the study, just like the cherry-picked, very carefully tiddled with data that I like. The one that says that trans people are bad and we should stop affirming trans people in their gender identity because it makes me personally uncomfortable. So because it aligns with my special worldview, my God says that being trans is wrong. And so I'm going to do what my God says, like a nice little cuck, and go and tell trans people that they're wrong, right?
That's what you do. So no, I'm gonna. So I'm gonna use my natural deductive reasoning to then go through each study, deduce what problems each study has, and then come to my own conclusion based on not only science but metaphysical. Metaphysical. I believe we're hylomorphic, and you're making the same claim. Actually, this is a metaphysical claim. You're making the claim that men can be women. So I'm
not making that claim. Never have I made that claim. You're straw manning right now.
Oh, am I? What's your claim?
Yes. My claim is that trans women are women and trans men are men and non-binary people are non-binary. That's the claim I'd like to make.
Define woman without using the word woman. Or
an adult female whose gender identity aligns with their personal schema on the female sex.
So you just said adult female.
Correct. Whose gender identity aligns... Sorry, adult human is what I meant. Adult human whose gender identity aligns with their schema on the female sex. My apologies. I misspoke.
Yeah, so then you associated it with female. So female, so
yes.
Yeah, so you just said female.
Yes, because gender is associated with sex, right?
Yeah, that's a circular definition. Doesn't make any sense.
That's not circular.
Yeah, it is. You just used a
No, it's not.
used a primary. Yeah, that's a
No,
circular
that is
definition.
not, dude. That is not a circular definition. Why are you so stupid?
By
Did your
definition,
mom
a
drop you on
circular
your head as a
definition.
baby? Is that the problem?
Maybe. I don't know. Why don't you explain it to
Okay,
me?
you should get checked for that.
Why don't you explain to me?
30
Why don't you explain to me the ontological claim of transgender? Like what? How is a man a woman? Why don't you explain that?
I'm not answering that.
Okay. So how
didn't
is a man's
fucking
gender
listen to me.
identity? No, I did. It's just
No,
incoherent.
you didn't. It's not incoherent.
No, I
You're just
listened to you.
stupid. I'm sorry you don't understand the words coming out of my mouth. That's not my problem.
No, you're making an incoherent statement. It's,
I'm
it's
not.
circular. So you're
No,
saying,
I'm not.
oh,
Do you know what a
trans
schema
people
is?
are- I know what a schema is.
Okay, yes. Do you know what somebody's
Alright,
personal
fellas,
schema is?
Time is up on that
Yeah.
topic.
Okay.
Let's bring the heat down. All right. Well, we're gonna
Cool,
change
dude.
it up a little bit. The next claim we have is the definition of marriage should remain one man and one woman. Alec, I will let you give your point on that
Sure.
first, since Brian gave it first last time.
Sure. Marriage as an institution, I don't know the details of the history, but my vague understanding of it is, man and woman, that's at some point we decided that marriage was a thing, and then it was a religious thing first, and then it became a governmental thing, and so now you get tax breaks or something. I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't really care what people call it. Okay, if you want to call it marriage, whatever. If you want to say that we're just partners together, whatever, that's fine. As long as marriage is tied to benefits like tax breaks or being able to see your loved ones in the hospital, or things like that, I think that marriage between any two individuals of consenting age should be allowed. So I don't understand the problem with it. I don't think that it's I just don't understand the problem with it. It's fine. Like, keeping it between one man and one woman doesn't make sense to me. Like, that's an odd criteria to base it off of. If you want to base it off of fertility, that would make more sense. I still don't agree with you, but that would make more sense at least. But it's never based off of fertility, because every time I ask the question, like, what if the woman is infertile? They're like, oh, well, that marriage is still fine because, like, the construct is still there or whatever. Like, we're still, like, appeasing our God or whatever. So, like, it's very silly. It just is a blatant example of how much they hate gay people.
All right. Brian, you're 3 minutes first now.
I'm lagging a little bit. Yeah. So great argument. So the argument starts. Oh, I don't see a problem with it. I don't really, Oh yeah, like I don't understand, why this can't happen. And then go to emotivism where you say, oh yeah, you just hate gays. This is a perfect example of why, like, we always win the argument lately, is because we actually know the other person's position and we don't make caricatures of the position, and then we can actually make logical arguments based on the position. I have an epistemic principle for this. You don't. My principle is that men and women are coupling creatures. They get together and they have children, and those children need to be raised by a mother and a father. Mothers need to be there to do certain things for their children. Fathers need to be there to do certain things for their children. And the fundamental political unit, the fundamental political building block, is the family. So we can infer if something is a certain way, we can connect it ought to be that way. So if men and women create children, they're the kind of people that ought to raise children. And the example I give for this is, a scenario I give for this is that if we all had our minds erased tomorrow, or let's say we were in some sort of nuclear apocalypse and the survivors arose from the ashes, we would immediately notice that my relationship with Mace is different from my relationship with a woman, because my relationship with a woman, sexual or not, with the male, outside of the relationship with a female, results in children. So it's like okay, my relationship with Mace is platonic, or even if it's romantic, right? It can't create children. And a male and a female are the kinds of people to create children. They ought to be the kind of people to raise children. Therefore, we elevated that kind of relationship because it's significantly important for the production of human civilization. If we don't have this kind of formation of human people getting together and coupling together and creating people and then raising them, you don't have civilization. Better outcomes, and we already know this. The social science is clear on this. Male and female households give significantly better results in child raising. Men and men do a terrible job of raising kids. One man does slightly better, and then women, single mothers, do a terrible job. They fail across the board. Men and women are the coupling creatures. We need to work together, have children, and marriage. By the way, marriage is a religious institution. It's called a sacrament. It's one of the 7 sacraments. It's called holy matrimony. We created it, and you're trying to redefine it for us in our religion. So marriage, I will give you a definition to work off of as my final thing. Marriage is the union of one man, one woman for the good of the spouses and for the generation and education of offspring. And I'd like you to point a logical hole out in that or try to rebut it in any single way that you possibly can. And you can't because you don't have a principle.
All right, Alec, your 3 minutes starts now.
We're not in a nuclear apocalypse, man, so I don't know what that argument is even fucking about. Like, we don't have a population problem. People ought to be allowed to live the way that they want, and I don't give a fuck who can produce children and who can't. Like, if you want to have kids, have them, and if you don't want to have them, don't. Some gay people want to adopt, some gay people don't. Some couples don't want to have kids, like straight couples, like they don't want to have kids, and so like I don't understand the problem. It's silly to think that like. And also, like you mentioned that like gay people are worse parents and single mothers are worse parents. So like, should we ban being a single parent as well? Should we force a husband upon that woman? Because that would be really fucking weird if you ask me. I don't think that the woman would like that. So no, I think that actually that sounds like freak shit. And so we're not going to do that. In my civilized society, people are going to be allowed to live the way that they fucking want to live. They're not going to have a partner thrust upon them against their will. They're going to be allowed to date whoever the fuck they want to date, have whatever kids they want to have or not, adopt if they want, and live their damn lives. And you want to impede upon that. So my question to you, my friend, is why do you hate freedom so? Why do you hate freedom? You fucking despise freedom, okay? Everything that you've said today demonstrates that you don't want people to be allowed to express themselves the way that they want. You don't want people to be allowed to date and marry the people that they want. You don't want people to be allowed to have kids if they want or not have kids if they want. You want to force your disgusting dog shit religious dogma across everybody. It's disgusting and you're vermin.
All right, Brian, your final 3 minutes before we open the floor starts now.
Okay, yeah, that motivism. So here's the thing, right? You don't have any actual like. There's only one of us here that's actually making an epistemological argument. My epistemic principle is that in order to create civilization, in order to keep it going, you need to have above replacement level. You need to have
principles. I have principles.
Sort of,
look at my special principles.
what do you call it?
I am a
Fertility
principled
rates.
person.
If you need above replacement fertility rates, you need to encourage people to have sex and have children inside of families. Families do the best job at raising children. That's my definition of marriage. That is the definition of marriage. No matter what legal, it is a natural institution. It will always exist. Men and women will have children and raise them. No matter what 2 homos want to pretend to do in their own house and play pretend, like whatever they want to do, that's fine. They shouldn't be allowed to bring children into it. Obviously, they're perverted, and so we shouldn't allow them to further pervert and destroy the youth. But my positive claim is that men and women create children. They should create children and raise children so that we have a positive civil authority and civilization. And in order to do that, if everyone becomes a homosexual and starts, not producing children, you can tell there's a principled problem with your argument. If everybody adopts your worldview, we go extinct. Bad principle. That's how you can tell that your principle is destructive and terrible. I'm actually the only one making an argument here. You're just saying, oh man, it's freedom. Come on, let people do what they want, like a libertarian, nonsensical, pseudo-intellectual argument. But actually, the founding fathers understood what true liberty is. True liberty is not license. Licentiousness is evil. There's a reason why we don't allow people to do heroin. Heroin or laws against suicide are good, And the reason why they're good is because we restrict people's freedoms in doing bad things. Freedom is not the freedom to do whatever you want. It's the freedom to do what you ought. The freedom to perpetuate civilization, the freedom to do good things, the freedom to focus on the three transcendentals, the good, the true, the beautiful. And you have not provided one argument for why I ought to do something. Yeah, I know you're saying like, oh yeah, come on, man. Like it feels good. Like I want to get sodomized. Whatever. I don't care about that. That's not good for civilization and will collapse if we participate in that kind of behavior. We won't have children. We won't raise them. We won't perpetuate the civilization. We won't create an economic, a civil authority that has people doing positive things and good things. And that's what my argument is. You still don't have an argument. You haven't presented anything. It's just, oh man, I like it. It feels good. I want to have people do whatever they want to do.
20 seconds.
Okay, what's your epistemic principle for that? Let me know.
All right. Floor is now open. 15 minutes.
All right, my friend. I have a question for you since you like your apocalypse scenario so much. So here's the question. The apocalypse occurs. You and one woman are the only ones left on this planet. Woman does not want to reproduce with you. Now what?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you. What would you do?
Okay. Yeah, so I'm not a consequentialist, so I would not.
I just want to. Yeah. Okay. Huh? What?
Yeah, I wouldn't rape someone. I don't believe that.
But we need to proliferate this species. So what would you do?
Yeah, I
That's
don't
your
believe
principle.
having
right?
a civilization.
We would go extinct if you don't. We'll go extinct if you don't, right?
Yeah, no, I'd persuade.
You persuade. You're max Riz levels. I can tell that you're a Rizzler, right? How many women have you dated in the last year? Just curious. Do you have a wife?
No, I don't have a wife.
Oh, you don't have a wife. Interesting. So you would persuade this person, though. So how would you persuade them? Please proceed.
I would just court them, I would just
court them.
behave like a normal person and then try to, yeah.
Uh-huh. How?
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Pretend I'm the girl. Riz me up. Go ahead. Let's see it.
I'm not gonna do that, brother.
You're not gonna do. Okay. I just thought that you were principled because we need to proliferate the species. So if this is so important to you, and you're the one who proposed the nuclear apocalypse, proceed. Go on.
Yeah,
Tell me this woman doesn't want to have sex with you.
So the nuclear apocalypse thing was just to display to you that.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going away from that now, right?
Okay. So the only thing
not
that
for
I was
this
just gonna
one.
say, so the only thing that I was going to say is that the apocalypse thing was just to show you that if all our minds were erased or we didn't really understand anything about civilization, we would immediately elevate certain kinds of relationships because they're more important to the disposition of human, or to the proliferation of human civilization. So we would elevate them immediately.
You would let humans go extinct, right?
I'm not saying that we necessarily need to like ban homosexuality, be the purity police, do Iranian stuff.
We're avoiding the hypothetical.
Yeah, well, no, I wouldn't rape a woman because I'm not a consequence.
Right, you'd riz them up using your exceptional riz skills. You would basically just sit there and pester her until she decides to have sex with you, right?
Well, again, in this like hypothetical, I'm the only man, she's the only woman. If she
doesn't want to.
Yeah, so if she doesn't want to, I would just try to persuade her. But no, like if I had to kill
you're breaking
my
your
daughter,
principle.
No, it's not that's not the principle.
Yes, you are. Your principle was things that proliferate the human race.
Good, yes.
That would proliferate the human race, would it not?
Yeah, but it's not that is good. Like me and the woman in the apocalyptic scenario having sex would be good, but me doing it by raping her would not be good. So I don't
So you let humans go extinct then, right? There are some situations in which you would let humanity go extinct, correct?
The ends don't justify the means. So yeah, if she just refused to have sex with me for the rest of the time, it would be it. I'm saying that it's good and we should promote it in human civilization, not that I'm going to go around raping people. So I'm prescribing.
So what you're saying then is consent of the individuals involved is more important than proliferation of the human race, correct?
Yeah, consent is the primary.
Great. We're on the same page then. So 2 gay men consent to sexual activity and want a relationship with each other. So that's fine, right?
Well, that's fine. That's cool. They can do that.
Great.
I don't think it's good, but they can do that. I just think
why not?
As a two separate things. What is acceptable and tolerable in civilization versus what we should like what exactly we should promote as a civilization. Homosexuality is not equal to, by definition, it's not equal to heterosexuality, because heterosexuality perpetuates the civilization. It creates people. Homosexuals don't create
Not
people.
necessarily. Me and my wife are married. We've had sex plenty of times and have not proliferated.
Yeah, you're of the nature too.
Of the what do you mean? Of the nature to proliferate?
Yeah, you're of the nature. She has a womb. You have a.
What do you mean of the nature? What does that mean?
Of the nature means they are of the essence to participate in
of the essence. That's a circular definition, my friend. What does of the nature mean?
Human beings are of the nature to have two legs and two legs and two arms. If one doesn't, that doesn't destroy the principle. That just means that one of
I didn't ask what
one
it's not.
person. What?
I didn't ask what it's not.
Yeah, you and your wife are of the nature to create children because you're a male, she's a female.
Okay, so a female who is so if a person cannot procreate, are they still of the nature to create children? Like if a female is infertile?
Yep.
Okay, what makes her of the nature?
Because she is of the sex that creates children.
Okay.
She's of the nature too.
But if she can't,
so
then if she literally can't, then how does that make her of the nature to?
Because in principle, females are the kinds of sex that create children. That's why.
That is the overwhelming majority. Sure.
So if I'm a human being, I'm of the nature to have 2 feet. But if I get my foot chopped off, that doesn't necessarily change the nature of human beings, correct?
No, I suppose not. But if everybody, so over time, for instance, if humanity lost their pinky toe over time, through evolution, then humans would be like, if more and more children are being born without their pinky toe, then you would argue that it is of the nature of humans to not have a pinky toe, correct? Even if some still do, right?
So if females go extinct, then yeah, human beings are of the nature to just be males. But like, if men killed all females, then yeah, then we would just.
I just don't understand what good this definition of of the nature does us. Because if you have a woman who's infertile with a man who is fertile, they still can't produce offspring. So functionally, they're just as they're the same as a gay couple in that sense, right? They're the same as a gay couple.
The exception doesn't disprove the rule. So let me ask you a question: Is a male and a female typically of the nature to create children? Like,
I don't know. I don't use the definition of the nature. If you're asking
me, let me explain it to you this way. Let me explain it to you this way. Right. This is a really simple epistemology, but I'll explain it. So me and you, right? Let's say me and you, me and Alec, right? We go to the doctor, or let's say you and your girlfriend go to the doctor, and you go, Doc, I don't know what's going on. We've been trying to get pregnant. We're doing everything correctly. We can't get pregnant. Doctor's going to go inside of you and your wife, look, and then identify a problem. That's going to be a dysfunction in your biogenetics. If me and you go to the doctor, me and Mr. Alec Gunter, if we go in there and we go, Doc, I don't know, we've just been sodomizing each other all the time. I don't know what's going on. We can't get pregnant. You know what he's going to say?
I wouldn't sodomize you. Hell no. Sodomize yourself, buddy.
We understand. I know, we understand, but it's the principle. Look, I can use anybody else. If 2 homos go into a doctor's office,
you used me. That's interesting.
Look, doctor. You think okay? If 2 homos go into a doctor and say, look, Doc, I don't know what's going on. We've been going at it. We've been simulating sex on each other's anuses for a really long time. I don't know what's happening. We can't get pregnant. What's the doctor going to say, Alec? Well, you're a nurse. What would you say? What would you say to the guy?
I guess I would say it's not typical of somebody who, with the organs that you have, to be able to give birth.
Okay, so you would say they're not of the nature to give birth, right?
Yeah, but if somebody can't, if a woman can't produce offspring, then how is she of the nature to give birth? That doesn't make any sense.
Because you can.
What use does the definition do us then? What purpose is there of the nature? That's bullshit pussy language. Okay, can she give birth or not? Right? If you want couples to give birth, they should all be able to give birth, right? That's your principle.
The purpose. What? No, my principle is not that.
Proliferating the human race. Which you've already said that you wouldn't do if you were the last person on earth with another woman. So you wouldn't do that. So the principle doesn't apply there because then you would be a rapist, right?
principle applies. I'm
So it's
saying
not that
it's
important.
good. No, if the good, it is good. So let's say I persuade the girl. She's like, I don't want to have sex with you. You're ugly. You know, maybe I'm not good looking. She goes, you're ugly. I don't want to have sex with you, Augustine.
You wouldn't
I go,
proliferate the human
darn.
race. You would let the human race go extinct, correct? You would let it.
Oh,
yes, you would.
Oh shit! Dang! Like sorry. And then I would persuade her, and then just if let's say she says no.
Yes,
she persists,
you would
she says
persuade
no.
her. I'm sure.
I would not. Yeah, I would not rape her. And then so what would happen is the human race would go extinct, right? The human race would go extinct. That would be a bad thing. But I, as a Christian, am not going to take immoral ends to get to a positive good. I'm describing the positive moral good. That doesn't mean I'll take.
Well, how is it immoral? Wait, your principle is anything that proliferates the human race, right? How is it immoral? You're proliferating the human. You're making sure that humanity keeps going. How's that immoral?
Is rape moral?
I believe it is. Do you?
You believe rape is moral?
Immoral. I misheard you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think rape is. I believe rape is immoral because I take the Christian ethical view that the ends do not justify the means. You, as like a utilitarian, like consequentialist, you would actually kind of that's getting into like an epistemological conversation that we're probably not going to have. But you would say that rape is wrong. Why is rape wrong? Why don't you explain that to me?
Because it's imposing upon the freedom of another person. You're taking away their bodily autonomy.
Why is bodily autonomy good?
Because I should be allowed to do whatever I want with my own body.
Why?
I don't because I should be allowed. I think that everybody should be. I want to. That's a good enough reason.
Why should you be able to do that?
Because I want to.
Not a justification. You
want to control other people's bodies. Why should I let you?
No, so you want to know my opinion on bodily autonomy? So I believe in bodily autonomy.
Not really, but go on. I'm here now, so.
So my principle is that people ought to be able to do what they want with their own bodies to a certain extent, as long as it correlates with virtue. In that,
fuck your virtue. Fuck your God, man. Shove it up your ass.
Because my epistemic principle is that every single person is a proper subject of God. And that's where we derive.
I don't care if you, I don't care.
Yeah, but my point is, I have an epistemic principle. You don't. Your justification is circular.
You've already said that you're breaking that principle if it means raping somebody. You would let the human race go extinct before you rape somebody, correct?
So,
right?
Again, I would be.
But no, sorry. You would use your like expert level 20 Riz skills. You would like break out the D20s, roll that, and just go off of that. Just magically, this woman's suddenly going to want to bang you and pop out a baby, right? That's what's going to happen. That's magical thinking, man.
Maybe she might be a ethical person, and she goes, "Oh, if I don't do this, if I have a duty
so it's
to do
unethical
this,
if a woman does not consent to you, correct?
It's unethical for me to rape a woman if she doesn't consent.
It is unethical. You just said it's unethical for her to consent to you in that scenario, correct?
No, that's not what
I said. You did. You said she would do the ethical thing and reproduce with me. That's what you said.
Yeah, so no.
Yeah, so it would be unethical. A duty.
It would be imprudent to not continuate the human species.
Okay.
So if she has,
it would be against God, right? It would be against God, right?
Well, I mean, we can talk about it in an atheistic sense too. It's naturalistic.
I just want to know what you believe. I want to know what you believe. Would it be against God for her to do that?
I want to know what you believe. Ask you for an epistemic principle of why bodily.
I want to know what you think. Would it be against God for her to say no to you and let the human race go extinct? Would that be against God?
In my way, would it be against God? God gives the commandment to be fruitful and multiply. So she would. This is very
okay. So yes, it would be. Yes, it would be a sin for her to not consent to you banging her. Correct?
Yep.
Okay. Then carry out God's duty, brother.
No, it'd be a sin. It would also be a sin for me to withhold consent.
Which one's the worst sin? I'm curious. Which one's the greater sin?
That's not Christian ethics, bro. We don't say which one's the worst sin. Christian ethics.
Is stealing as bad as murder? Is stealing a candy bar as bad as murder?
What?
I'm asking a question. Is stealing a candy bar as bad as murder? Just yes or no?
Oh.
Okay, so then we can stack sins against each other. So is it more or less or the same unethicality for her to say no to you as it is for you to rape her?
Yeah, you're not understanding the principle. So
I guess
the principle
not.
Is that
I'm not understanding anything you're saying, I guess.
sins can be different, right? Like sins can be worse than other sins, but the
Yeah.
principle is
So which
that
one's worse?
we as Christians wouldn't say
You can't
like
answer.
I think abortion is worse than rape. I think abortion is murder, and so I would say that's worse than rape, right?
That's
So
crazy, man. Holy shit, you're a fucking piece of shit. Genuinely, like, go live in a cave and stay away from the rest of us. Jesus Christ. You are such a turd. Such an ass stain on this planet. God, are you a cancerous piece of shit. Jesus.
Wait, so we're bringing up current events. Do you remember the woman that just put her kids in the oven? Wait, yeah, don't take the Lord's name in vain. Do you remember the two women?
Fuck your God. Tell your God to suck my dick. Tell your God to suck my dick.
Dude, you're so persuasive. So persuasive. You remember the woman that just threw
I'm not
her
trying to
baby
be
in the oven?
persuasive. I'm talking to a dipshit with low IQ. So I don't care. I knew I wasn't going to come into this and persuade you.
You remember the woman
30
that just threw her
seconds.
baby in the oven and killed him?
Huh?
Was that worse than do you remember the woman that just put her baby in an oven and baked him to death?
I
Did you
don't
see that in
remember the
news?
specific instance of this, no. But I'm sure it's happened.
Okay. So that happened. Is that worse than rape?
Okay. That's stacking two bad bitches against each other. That's why I asked you, though, which one's worse. You can say that they're both, it's hard to compare. You can't really compare them. Is that your answer?
All right, that is it for that topic.
Cool.
All right, so the
Good answer.
next topic we're you up? Okay. So the next topic is all publicly funded schools should include comprehensive LGBTQIA plus sex education. Brian, it is your turn.
Okay, do you want to attack? There's a couple ways we could attack this. Like, do you want to talk about it constitutionally, or do you not care about the Constitution? You're arguing it morally. Like, are you arguing in principle or Constitution? No. I'm asking you, Alec. Do you want to argue it constitutionally speaking? Because that's going to be a fairly easy argument for me. Or do you want to argue it morally? Like,
I usually argue on ethical principles. If the Constitution supports those, then I support what the Constitution says about it. If not, then I don't.
Got you. Okay, so we'll argue it on ethics. Okay, so, I don't think any sex education ought to be involved in school, especially LGBTQ, whatever whatever alphabet soup it is now. I believe that sex education ought to be up to the parents. Parents, the entire principle of having kids is so that you can imprint your views on them and let them go out into the world with your value system, and then think about it, and then they, because no one actually is born with their own ideas. Everybody is educated. There's no indoctrination and education come from the same Greek root word. So everybody has to teach their kids something. That's what liberal education is. Liberal education is teaching somebody about their liberty, right? That's what liberal education means. And so in order to do that, my worldview is going to be different from obviously Alex's worldview. He's going to teach his kids that they can be sodomized or whatever. I wouldn't teach that. I would teach my kids that the proper sexual ethic and how to behave like a good person and how to conduct themselves in a sexual relationship that's positive. And so I believe that it ought to be up to the parents because the fundamental political building block is the family. And so families get to dictate what their children believe, especially while they're children, right? And so, yeah, I don't think the state has any right to come in and say, no, we're going to teach your kids about this, that, or the other thing. Whether it's, you say that we shouldn't teach any sort of Christianity or Islam or Judaism, like you don't want that in the schools. I don't want your weird religion and LGBTQism and all that nonsense. So I don't want your weird religion in there. You don't want my weird religion in there. So we're going to have to debate on the substance of the religions. Ultimately speaking, what worldview is more appropriate, what worldview is beneficial to human civilization. And he's pretty much conceded that my worldview actually propagates the human species. His destroys it. Mine is better. His is worse. Even from a pragmatic viewpoint, he would have to say that homosexuality is a net negative. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't propagate anything. It's just for pleasure. It dies out in a generation. So yeah, I think that education is about creating good civilians in a society. It's about creating good people. That's what liberal education is for. And doing the opposite, like creating bad people that are just self-obsessed and want to sodomize each other, I would say that's bad. So yeah, in conclusion, in principle, I just believe that people ought to be able to teach their kids what they want to teach their kids, and the state shouldn't have any right in doing that up until a certain point. If a family is teaching their kid that they ought to like cut their testicles off, then we ought to, they're child abusers, as we would agree
All right.
that
All
abusing
right.
is. So we would take
So,
that child from that
Alec,
family.
your 3
Yeah,
minutes starts now.
Can you repeat the prompt?
The prompt was all publicly funded schools should include comprehensive LGBTQIA sex education.
Assuming that means teaching that gay and trans people exist, that they've had a muddied history of, being tortured, killed by people like my opponent here, of having their rights stripped from them by people like my opponent here, of having their lives made more miserable by people like my opponent here, being lynched by people like my opponent here, of suffering mental health casualties because of my opponent here and people like him. If that's what you mean, then yes, we should absolutely teach that gay and trans people exist. They're valid. They should be allowed to present and act however they want. They should be allowed to date whoever they want, regardless of who they are, where they come from. And if we don't teach kids that, we're doing them a disservice and pretending as though those people don't exist, and or persecuting them like my friend here would like to do. So I disagree with him, of course, wholly on everything that he said. I think it's disgusting to think that the purpose of having a child is to imprint your worldview onto them. What? That's insane, man. Holy shit. The reason that I'm going to have kids is because I want kids. It's a selfish desire that I have. But I'm going to make sure that those kids are taken care of, that they're raised properly, that they learn to hate people like you, all right? And that they it makes society a better fucking place.
We almost had a little Freudian slip there with the prolif.
All
That's
right,
funny.
I don't know what you
Brian,
mean.
you have your 3 minutes.
Yeah, so number one, I would say I would just ask him a quick question. Hey, Alec, do you know the largest mass lynching in U.S. history? You wanted to bring up lynchings.
This is your 3 minutes.
No, it is. Okay, so the largest mass lynching in history is Italian Catholics, and they were lynched for their religion. So that's number one. Complaining about like so-called like victimization of a certain group doesn't actually, like, Nazis were victimized early on in their revolution, so that's a nonsensical argument. Nazis are bad. We could probably both agree on that, but they were victimized, by their government, by the Weimar Republic. So, yeah, I would disagree with that whole like, oh yeah, I've been a victim at one point, therefore I'm morally good. That's the dumb like cultural Marxism Gramsciite view. I don't know if you know who Antonio Gramsci is. You should probably read up on who founded your ideas. But yeah, so I would just say that like he said, he just said in the same sentence, he said, yeah, I wouldn't want to teach my children anything. I wouldn't want to teach my children, that's disgusting that he would want to teach his worldview to his children. I'm going to teach my children to hate people like him. Well, isn't that a worldview? Instruction. You just like kind of needed your own argument. Like I believe that people ought to propagate their own ideas. The way that we do that is we have a legacy. It's called progeny, and we spread our faith, our worldview, our philosophy. That's how we do it. This has been Western thought for millennia. Okay, Aristotle talked about it in the Nicomachean Ethics. Plato speaks about it in the Republic. This is just how it's a naturalistic institution. People have children in order to raise those children to believe the same things as them. Assuming those things are good, we should enable them to do that. My position is that my principle is better than yours. Your argument is, no, it's not. You're evil. You want trans people to die and gays to get killed. That's not my position. That's, again, just like a random straw man. Nobody cares about those straw mans. But yeah, I believe that my worldview is better than his, and it's obvious because it's obvious in like nature, in natural theology. We can see why it's better because it bears better fruits. It creates civilization. Actually, historians actually agree on this one. One of the things that historians agree on is that in the top 5 reasons why one of the precursors to a civilization's destruction and decay is increased homosexuality. When people start sleeping with each other and just having like unfruitful sexual relationships, that's a sign that your civilization's failing. Want to know why? Because you can't have kids that way, and then you have no future people to be involved in your civilization. That's my positive moral claim. You can go ahead and try to debunk that, but I would try to like actually make a claim instead of just saying, oh, like it's bad.
All
like
right, your time is up. Alec, you got your 3 minutes, and then we'll open it up for 15 minutes.
People like you are the strongest indicator that society is collapsing. You said that the point of having a child is to imprint your worldview onto them. That's fucked. What I said was, I hope to teach my children to do good things and be good to the people around them. That's normal, okay? And allow to maximize the freedom and happiness of themselves and those around them. That's what I want for the world. What you want for the world is for your little God that you worship in your little book, right? Oh, my God is so big and important, right? You want that to be the doctrine. You want people to not be allowed to express themselves, to not date who they want to date, to not marry who they want to marry. And you want to indoctrinate our youth, okay, into believing these toxic ideas that fundamentally make society a worse place to live. Okay, you talk about principles. I gave you a scenario in which the human race is not going to proliferate if you don't commit a certain act, and you said you would not do it. Okay, your principle is not as strong as you think it is. Either that, or you know that admitting you would in fact rape that woman would make you look bad. Okay, if you want my opinion, you probably would. Okay, that's just my opinion though. So, besides that, the result of your position is that people just have fundamentally worse lives. That's why I think that you're a cancerous ash stain on society and you should go away. And also, just to wrap around to the original point, we ought to teach our children sex education in schools, regardless of what the parents think about it. I think the parents ought to have a say in some things regarding it. But it is proven in studies that children who are taught sex education are less likely to be raped and sexually abused. Okay? I feel like that's pretty important. I don't know about my opponent here, but I do. So I think that sex education ought to be taught regardless of what the parents think. If the parents don't want their children to have sex education, I think that's a red flag, personally. I believe in some parents' rights, but children deserve a holistic education that includes gay and trans people, sex education, and things that exist and facts of society. We should not be teaching our children things that are incorrect. We should not be teaching our children things that make society fundamentally worse or make other people suffer. That leads to nothing but toxicity and makes the world a worse place to live.
All right, I'm about to open the floor for 15 minutes. Timer starts now.
Cool. So I have a really quick question for you. Is consent the only characteristic that matters about sexual ethics?
I'm sure you could bring up some other factors, but consent is the biggest one, yes.
Do you have any others that you would put in sexual ethics?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, so if I consent to be snuff porned, to like be shot in the face, Max.
Can you say it? You got choppy. Can you say that again?
Yeah, can I consent to be snuff porned? Can I consent to be shot in the face while I climax?
Shot in the face
Or
while
hung.
you climax? I don't
Yeah,
think that's
or
a very
hung.
good thing. No, I don't think that's a very good thing to normalize, no.
Okay, so there's something in sexual ethics that doesn't have to do with consent? Or consent would be meaningless? Doesn't matter if I consent to it?
I would say if that's something you want, you should seek some help and make sure that you understand the consequences, the permanent consequences of such an action.
Okay, so if I understand the permanent consequences, can I get snuff porn?
If you've sought all the psychiatric help that you can get and you still want to do it and that is the purpose of your life, then it's frankly, I just don't care that much.
Okay, so it's cool for me to get shot in the face while I climax.
Where are you going with this, man?
Your principle is incoherent. That's my.
No, it's not.
That's where I'm going.
No,
So
you
my
don't even
principle-
think that we should proliferate the human race under certain circumstances, even though that was very important to you when saying how much you hate gay people and why. So
No, that's not the point. We don't need to go back into that. But the distinction.
I know we don't
made
because
was
you
that-
lose on that. So we don't. You're right. We've already established that you lost that.
No, the distinction that I would make is that I think it's good. I think it's a positive moral good. I don't think it's bad to proliferate the human species. But to get there to immoral, to do that in immoral ways does not justify the good.
But she's being immoral by not consenting to you, correct? It is immoral of her in that moment to not consent to you. Yes, correct. So it is immoral of. So why doesn't your God think then that you ought to force it upon her? Is your God stupid?
Because it's an intrinsically evil action, and my God is
okay. So your God would prefer that the human race go extinct than you rape her, correct?
That's a fundamental misunderstanding of what he's.
How?
I'm not a Calvinist. I'm not a Calvinist. I don't believe in predestination.
I'm asking about your personal beliefs on that situation, because God exists in your worldview. So what does he think of that?
Yeah, God doesn't control. So God allows it. God limits himself in order to let us practice our free will. He doesn't. So he wouldn't say. So
he's not all powerful, right?
No, he's all powerful. He's all powerful.
He's all so he could. So he could then, like, you know, change her mentality or whatever to consent to you, correct? So to proliferate the human race.
Yeah, I mean, this is getting into Calvinism versus Catholicism or Trinitarianism.
Yeah, it's just something that I don't personally have any beliefs on. I don't know. It's I haven't thought about it that much. I'm just a little guy. Right. I get it, man. I got it. Spineless.
It's going to be a 2-hour debate about predestination, which you have no idea what you're talking about because you're not a theologian or than any of these things.
I don't care about your God. Of course, I haven't studied it.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not going to talk about it. We're discussing your worldview. You made a positive moral claim. Your positive moral claim is that we should teach people. So number one, again, you made a logical contradiction. You said, "Yeah, I think it's completely awful and disgusting and bullshit that you said that you would want to imprint your ideas on your child."
I didn't say want. I said you said the purpose of having a child is to imprint your moral worldview. Is that not what you said? The purpose of having a child.
It's to propagate the human species and to imprint your ideas on your children. That's what having children is for.
That's fucked. That's not the purpose of having a child. The purpose of having a child.
What if I'm your child? Are you going to try to propagate your ideas on me?
If you were my child at this age, believing the things you do, I'd fucking disown you. I'd say you're a disappointment. You're a disgrace. I didn't teach you that way. Your parents probably think the same thing too.
What if I'm getting these beliefs when I'm 15,
and if they don't, they failed as parents.
No, I'm saying, what if I'm getting these beliefs at 14, 15, and I'm like, hey, Dad, hey, Alec, Dad, I think that homosexuality is wrong. What would you say?
I'd say, no, it's not, son. Where'd you get that idea?
And then I'd explain the Christian ethic, the Catholic ethic, and then what would you say?
I'd say you're wrong. Being gay is fine.
Oh,
and
right.
If you think otherwise, you're wrong.
Yeah, so you would try to imprint
no, dude, I said the purpose of having a child. That you're laughing, I know. You think that you're so smart, right? You said the purpose of my purpose of having a child is to simply have a little person around that I can raise and be happy with. It's a selfish desire that I have.
You just said if you were my dad, you would disown me.
Yeah, I would.
Okay, so if you disown me, then you wouldn't have as far as you're concerned.
Because you're no longer because you're no longer a pleasure to I don't take pleasure in your existence anymore. The fact that I raised such a turd, such an ass stain would be my greatest shame. I would never even want people to know that you are my child. Much like your parents probably don't.
Okay, well that's a motivist and ad hom, but it's fine. You would say that. Yeah, we know. So you would say, right, that because my beliefs are bad, would you try to persuade me to not have those bad beliefs at all?
Yes.
Okay, so if you try to, why would you do that?
Because you're making the world a fundamentally worse place and hurting the people around you.
Okay, why does that matter?
I mean, why? Do you believe in the greater good of humanity and people having freedom and happiness? Are those important to you?
It sounds to me like it either sounds to me like you haven't even thought through your ideas, or
I have. I just said I think it's good when people are free and happy. Do you?
So are you a Benthamist, utilitarian?
I asked you a question, man. I asked you a question.
We're not talking about my worldview. We're talking about yours.
Fuck you then. You can't even answer the damn fucking question. Why are you even talking?
I can. I'm just not giving a
man up. Have a fucking spine, you pussy. Have a spine.
You know what an
okay?
You know what an internal critique is? Do you know what an internal critique is?
I'm sure I could explain it if you gave me a second, but my ADHD-addled brain is not bringing a definition immediately to the forefront.
Okay, so I want you to do an internal critique of your position. And
I don't
that
care what
means
you want me to
I'm
do.
doing.
I don't care what you want me to do,
I'm
so
doing.
stop that.
Okay, I'm making an internal critique of your position. You don't have an answer. You fundamentally just don't have an answer. You haven't thought it through.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure.
That's what's happening.
I want
You're a
things that make people
consequentialist.
happy and free. Right?
Why is that good? Why is being free good?
Do you like being free?
Do I like being free? What's the definition of freedom?
I fucking hate you, man. I hate you so much.
Hey, look. So, is a heroin addict free to do heroin?
Yes, they are.
So
I think that we should try to convince them to not do it. But yes, they are.
Why?
I believe that you ought to have the right to do it.
Freedom's a positive moral good. He's free. Why not let him be free?
Because there are some things you can do to yourself that make your life worse. Like drinking. If I could convince everybody on Earth to no longer drink, I would. Because drinking's bad for you. It's straight poison.
So you're saying freedom's circular, and you have the freedom to do what you ought, and you ought not be a heroin
You're such a
addict,
disingenuous
right?
asswipe. There's a difference between believing that people ought to be allowed to do something and believing that people ought to do the thing. I believe that the freedom ought to be there. Whether or not you should do it is another question.
So heroin should be legal?
Yes.
So people should be allowed to do heroin and OD and kill themselves?
Yes. I think that people should be given pamphlets and here's my ideal scenario if you want to know. Decriminalize heroin. If people are heroin addicts or want to try heroin, if they're given explicit warnings about it, they're told everything about the drug, and then if they still want to do it, they can try it, okay? But then the entire time you try to get them off of it, okay? You try to convince them, no, this is bad for you. You're ruining your life.
Freedom is a good
that allows for the freedom and also that would reduce the heroin usage, just so you know. My worldview is like just better than yours in that regard. Making heroin illegal does not reduce the usage. Decriminalizing it does. Huh?
Well, yeah, so yeah, right. So incentivizing certain behavior with legal action and disincentivizing other bad behavior with legal action doesn't actually. So if we made murder legal, you would get less murder, right? That's
murder's not drug use.
If you incentivize certain behavior, meaning you legalize drugs, that incentivizes people to behave in that way. If you say, I'm going to cut your hand off if you steal, that de-incentivizes certain behavior, and you get less of that behavior. This is
Am I allowed to sit naked? Am I allowed to sit naked in my house, flap my wings, and quack like a duck, and record it and watch it over and over? Am I allowed to do that?
Mm-hmm.
So it's legal for me to do that, right? Does that mean society is incentivizing that behavior?
Well, it's a non-prescriptive. It's different.
How's that different?
You incentivize. If we make a law tomorrow that says, oh yeah, now you can get naked and flap your arms like a chicken.
No. There's no law that says, yes, you can do heroin. You just decriminalize it.
Yeah. So you have laws that punish it heavily. Yeah. So you would incentivize it.
That's not incentivizing it. You just said that. Why do you think that's different?
If I get rid of murder tomorrow, like the laws that are against murder, would that increase the murder rate or decrease it?
No, murder ought to be illegal because it hurts other people. Doing drugs does not.
Yeah, heroin addict. You just admitted heroin kills people.
It hurts yourself.
Yeah,
if you want to hurt yourself, you ought to be allowed. Drinking hurts you too. Should drinking be illegal? Alcohol is poison. Alcohol is straight poison for your body when you drink it, right?
I don't drink personally.
I don't care about what you do personally. I'm sure you don't do heroin either, okay? I'm asking you, do you think that it ought to be illegal?
No, because in moderation it's fine. And heroin is not.
No.
And heroin is moderately applicable, no.
No amount of alcohol is good for you, ever. It's just bad for you, right?
It's actually untrue.
So
there was a study that came out
by keeping it legal,
okay.
We're incentivizing the behavior by keeping it legal, right?
Yeah, there was a study that came out that showed that
dude,
moderate alcohol consumption is actually healthy for you.
Do we incentivize the behavior by keeping alcohol legal?
You do in some senses, yes.
You do? So we should make it illegal then.
I would be fine with that. Yeah. I don't drink alcohol. I think it's
Now, okay, so you're an
negatively-
abolitionist. Great. Why the fuck should I listen to anything you have to say then? Because I like drinking.
Okay, it's bad for you. Shouldn't do it.
I can't have brewskis with my bros. Who cares if it's bad for me? I should be allowed.
Yeah, so, and again, there's a distinction to be.
You
like,
think that drinking
there's a
should be
distinction-
illegal?
There's a distinction that ought to be had here, right? Like this is actually a Thomistic.
Oh,
idea.
now there's a
I don't know if you
distinction.
know. Do you know what? Okay, so this is actually a Thomistic idea. St. Thomas Aquinas writes about this: is that you can't actually fully illegalize everything because you get a totalitarian state.
Oh, but we can make heroin illegal though. That one we can, but not drinking.
Well, yeah, because heroin's obviously more severe than alcohol.
I
Like,
agree
do it
with you,
once,
but
you're-
but the principle here is that you're saying things that are legal are incentivized,
Are
right?
you an alcoholic? Are you an alcoholic?
No.
Okay, do you drink alcohol in moderation?
Yes.
Okay, find me.
It's still bad for you.
Give me 100. Give me 100. No, it's actually not. But
Yes,
if you
it
drink alcohol
is.
in moder-
Dude, come on.
If you drink alcohol in moderation, it can be positively beneficial towards liver health. But yeah,
That's not
besides the
true.
point.
I don't believe you. You'd be hard pressed to
2
show me
minutes.
data supporting that.
Okay, so
I didn't learn
we're-
that in nursing
we're kinda
school.
We're kind of off topic. What my final point to tie this all up, right? And by the way, I have an ad hom to you. I like you. You seem pretty cool. But I'm just
I don't fucking care if
sorry.
you like me. Everybody likes me.
Okay, relax, man. You seem pretty cool. Just relax. So here we can
You're
we
a
can
pussy.
battle
That's
our
why you
ideas,
won't.
man. This is representative democracy, right? Like we talk about our ideas and then
No. You don't get
but
to
you
do
are-
that. You're a cancer, man. You're cancer. So when you go, oh, I'm just a little birthday boy. Oh, my beliefs are special because I thought of them. Oh, I just think that this thing is good and that I don't think that I need anything to back up my statements, right? I just have these special little ideas and you should respect them just like I respect yours. Fuck you. I don't respect you or your beliefs.
Well, just to be clear here, I've actually
And society would be
witnessed
better
more
off without
for-
you. Go live in a cave. Leave the rest of us alone.
Are you advocating for my death?
No.
Okay, cool.
I just said go live in a
So,
cave. How is
uh,
that advocating for your death? I said leave society. I think society would be better off if you left it.
I'll probably die if I go live in a cave. I don't know. But so just to
Sounds
tie
like a
this
skill
up, right,
issue.
is that fundamentally you agree with me, right? Actually, like fundamentally, you actually do believe that we ought to like teach good things and avoid bad things. It's just a disagreement about what's good and what's bad.
And you're wrong.
Unfortunately,
30
you have this idea that we ought to let people kind of do whatever they want. I think that's a bad idea. I'm saying that we ought to. I think it's fairly evident. So when I say, "Oh, we ought to incentivize straight, normal, heterosexual couples and ban every other kind of people from adopting children," you say, "Oh, well, oh, it's good, bro. I like it. Like it helps people." And
Why have
people
adoption
like
at
it."
all then? Why have adoption at all? Why have a legal adoption then?
You don't have. Why have legal adoption? Because
why?
men and women can raise children. Certain
All
unfortunate-
right, the time for this topic is over. Brian, you were saying you had to leave at some point. Is
No,
that
keep going, man. No,
we
I'll
can
leave it. We can keep going until the fourth
we can-
one's over.
we can do the last topic? All right. Well, the final topic is claim gender ideology, quote unquote, is a manufactured moral panic. And who was it that goes first on this one? Brian or Alec,
I think
right?
it's me this time, yeah.
Hey, Alex. Yeah.
All right, Alec, you have the first 3 minutes.
Yeah, the concept of gender ideology is stupid. I honestly never even needed to know. Like, if I... Okay. Gender ideology as a concept does not really exist. You just either are trans, you are gay, you are whatever, and that's the end of it. It's not an ideology. It's just how people are. It's just how people exist and live their lives. So, like, I don't understand the moral panic, really. It is a moral panic, yeah. It doesn't hurt anybody, and in fact, it helps people who are gay and trans to be allowed to live the way that they see fit for themselves. It makes them healthier, happier, and more productive people. I don't even have to argue this from a feel-good point of view. If you're just looking at this from strictly utilitarian view for the nation and the good of society, allowing gay people and trans people to exist the way that they are makes them healthier, happier, and more productive. Okay, it makes society a better place to live. So I fail to see why we should not let them do it. It's just silly. So yes, gender ideology and this idea that like we're indoctrinating our kids or whatever. No, we're not. Telling a child that trans people exist and that it is possible to be trans and that it's okay to be trans, if that turns them trans, then they already were trans. Okay? Like if a child is told, yes, this person was born male, but now identifies as a woman, and then that child is like, oh, I can just do that, and they do it, and it makes them happier, that's great. We just help that child live a happier, more fulfilling life. I fail to see the problem. So yeah, gender ideology, quote unquote, is a entire moral panic, and frankly, it makes the world, again, I stress, a worse place to live.
All right, Brian, your 30 minutes starts now.
Alrighty, so a couple logical fallacies and contradictions. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is from the definition of like a consequentialist or utilitarian perspective isn't going to be how it makes the individual feel, according to Jeremy Bentham or according to any of these like thinkers who came up with these concepts. You're according to the actual doctrine of these ideologies that my opponent doesn't frankly even know what he believes and where these beliefs come from.
You're right, I have no idea.
The consequentialism, right? Moral consequentialism is going to come from epistemic closure principle. So it's just going to mean who the most amount of benefit idea or the amount of people don't benefit this idea. So it has to be applicable to it has to be widely applicable to civilization in order to actually have a positive claim. Homosexuality, transgenderism, all this nonsense
His
is actually
mic is rejecting
opposite.
him.
Like it destroys civilization by definition. Like definitionally,
Even his mic knows he's wrong.
It creates an incentive to not have children and to be self-absorbed and sodomites. So by definition, it destroys civilization. So it can't be utilitarianly positive. If we all go extinct, if you apply the principle across the board, we all go extinct. Therefore, your principle is not applicable. Therefore, your principle is negative in a utilitarian kind of viewpoint. You would actually have to argue from some sort of metaphysical viewpoint, like the Christian viewpoint or the Christian ethical framework that says that we ought to defend victims, we ought to defend the voiceless. If you're just strictly talking about utilitarianism, you don't actually have an epistemic principle to do such a thing. You can't actually define. It's just what's most pragmatic. What's the best for civilization? If these people are on the way, slaughter them, kill them, get rid of them, imprison them, do whatever. So that's your fundamental belief system that you don't even know where it comes from, contradicts itself like 40 million times. But then we can get onto the trans thing. So I believe that the trans thing is 4 things, could be 4 things, and only one of them is infalsifiable. The first thing is going to be onogynephilia, which is a sexual perversion. It was defined in the DSM for a while, and it's when men, right? It's not in there anymore, but it's when men are derive sexual pleasure from behaving like women in public. I think my opponent would at least agree that some of those guys exist. Even Will Thomas, his burner Instagram got caught, and he got caught saying he got caught on camera posting a picture of a cartoon image of a girl of a guy with a boner in a dress, and he said me all the time. So Will Thomas is obviously onogynophilic. He's a pervert. He's a weirdo in public, trying to pretend to be a woman for sexual gratification. That's number 1. Number 2, we could have a system in
all right, Brian,
identity.
your time is up. Alec,
I'll go over the rest. Sorry.
No, you're all good. Alec, you're 3 minutes.
Hey,
oh, what's up?
Could we extend it a minute and a half so I could finish and then give him a minute and a half on an extension?
If that is fine with Alec.
I prefer not to listen to this motherfucker talk a minute longer than I have to. So no.
Well,
I'll give you an extra minute and a half.
No, I don't care.
No.
Take half a minute
let
away
Alec
from me.
Go on. We'll just stick to
take my whole 3 minutes. End it now.
Oh, you want to admit defeat now? Come on, we're just getting started.
Yeah.
You know what? Screw it. We'll go ahead and we'll just say 15 minutes open floor right now.
Are you sure?
I find it
give Alec
interesting.
his 3 minutes.
I find it interesting. No, it's fine. I'd rather end this. I find it interesting. You said your position would make us go extinct, therefore it's bad. I find that incredibly interesting. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't like I said. You can't
Okay.
take an intrinsically moral action to justify an intrinsically good principle. So it's really simple. I don't know why you're not getting it, but you can move on. So
your
the second thing that I was
position
gonna
would
talk
make
about-
us go extinct, therefore it's bad, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Shall we go
Largely,
back
yeah.
to the nuclear apocalypse scenario? What do you think, buddy? What do you think? What do you think?
We have to take an intrinsic.
Your position would make
have
us
to-
go extinct, man. It would. It's
Am I
bad then,
advocating
right?
for the rape?
You're not.
Am I
I know you're
advocating
not
for-
because you're inconsistent. You're a pussy. You're a spineless bitch.
What
You're a spineless bitch, and
Am I-
nobody ought to take you seriously ever on anything.
am I advocating for the? So am I saying that gays ought to get raped, like lesbians ought to get raped and impregnated? No, right? So the epistemological argument would be you cannot take an intrinsically immoral action and justify it by getting a good end. So I'm just saying we make something illegal, which is harmful, therefore incentivizing the better behavior. I'm not saying it's time to go rape the gays to make them like, let's go rape the lesbians and make them, that would be,
Why not?
That would be
Why not?
because it's an intrinsic.
That would make
action
more
of mind.
proliferation, right? That would proliferate the species, right?
Yeah, right. But it's an intrinsically immoral action. So Christian ethics would say you cannot take an intrinsically immoral action to justify a good end, no matter how good the end is. That's the definition.
Okay, well then clearly this is
So
not a very strong
you're
principle for you.
understanding
You
the
would
like
let
fifth grade level.
the human race go extinct under certain circumstances, correct?
Yeah, I'm saying that letting the human race go extinct is bad, but we shouldn't take intrinsically immoral actions to get to that to avoid that bad action. It's basic epistemology, dude. I don't know. Why
It's
you're
just
not
interesting that you think it's wrong for me to believe the things that I do because it would make the human race go extinct, and yet,
Yeah.
hello, like that's your view too, man. You also believe things that go against the proliferation of the human race.
Okay, let me
Right?
explain.
Yes.
Let me try to explain this one more. So the only applicable, like if you were to actually try to make
Don't
this
bother,
a
man.
and not a straw man, okay, is that
It's
I
not a
would be
straw man.
advocating
It's
for-
not a fucking straw man.
so making homosexuality illegal or illegal or not gay marriage or just getting rid of gay marriage, that is not an intrinsically immoral action. Raping
Yes,
a woman
it is. Yes, the fuck it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Argue for that then.
Yeah, you're limiting
Argue for
people's
it.
freedom and happiness. You are literally making society a worse place. You ass scum.
Why is that bad? Why is that bad?
What do you mean, why is that bad? People ought to be happy and free. I think when
bad
people are happy and free, that's good. You don't, because you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, and
You're a
we
piece
just
of
went
fucking
through-
shit.
We just went through heroin, right? So I said, oh.
Yeah,
someone's
and
a
heroin ultimately limits your freedom as a human being because it alters your state of consciousness and can kill you.
right. Boom! There you go. You got it.
So
You
that's
finally
why
made
I
it.
believe,
Yeah.
dude, you really do think
Hey,
you're
what's
that
life
guy, don't you? You really do. You think you got
What's
the
life
big
like?
swinging dick and balls, right? I would just
what is life-
persuade her. I would use my maxed out Riz to go up to her and be like, huh, babe, okay, babe, listen. It's just you and me now, babe. So we're gonna have to, you know, and that's gonna work, right? Right, buddy?
Bodily autonomy and
You should open up a dating course. You ever heard of those guys? You should open up a course to teach people how to riz because you're so good at it. Because if you were the last man on earth with the last woman on earth, you for sure would riz her up and proliferate the human race because your God said so. If you don't, then you're a failure. Okay? And frankly,
Yeah, bro,
so is your God. Just so you
I
know.
think I'd be pretty persuasive. I don't know, man. I'm pretty persuasive. I don't know. I think I've persuaded you here. Look, you're blowing up.
Oh
Here-
yeah,
here's the
you
thing, right?
persuaded me and all of my audience, man. You did great.
Yeah, so here's the thing, dude. What I'm trying to do is I'm making an internal critique. Why is bodily
don't
autonomy
care.
good? Why is it good?
Bodily autonomy
Why
is
is it
good
good?
because I don't think people should be raped or have parasites attached to them when they don't want to. Okay? It maximizes freedom, it maximizes happiness, and it maximizes the society. It maximizes the productivity of society when we allow for bodily autonomy, freedom, and happiness. That's
Got it. So
good.
killing
Those are all
babies-
good things in my book.
killing-
Not yours, though. Not your holy book.
So got it. Killing babies and sodomizing men.
Fuck you.
proliferate society.
Fuck you. Oh, I think that rape is not as bad as abortion. Yeah, that's fucked up, man. Fuck you. That's fucked up. Okay, wait. So hold on. I'm. So.
Give me a justification.
A justification for what?
Give me a justification. Why is it wrong to restrict somebody's freedom when you just admitted that it's good to restrict people's freedoms if it?
I never said restrict it. You can do heroin if you want to do it. I just think that you ought to have people around you discouraging you because that limits your freedom. Heroin limits your freedom and happiness.
Wait, but before you said that it actually achieves a perfect freedom because you're perfectly free to do whatever you want.
You're not listening. You're not listening. And if you are listening, you're being a disingenuous ass fuck. And I don't know, frankly, why I say you're not listening, because I know you are being a disingenuous ass fuck.
I'm listening. Go ahead. Justify your claim.
Which one?
Why is it good? Why should I care about if I have a monopoly on force, right? Let's say that the Christian Trump supporting fascist Project 2025, let's say we take over. Let's say Trump gets his third term and he says, ladies,
you are, and the country's going to shit.
Look, your rights are fucked, ladies. Give me your rights back. Give me your gays.
So your ideal society. Your ideal society, then.
Why shouldn't he do that if he has the monopoly on force? Explain that. Justify your.
Why ought he not do that? Because it makes happiness. I don't know how many times I have to repeat this. It makes people not as happy and not as free. Huh?
Why is that good? You have to justify that. Why is that good? Why is happiness?
Why is it good? I don't feel the need to justify that. If you don't know why it's good for people to be happy and fucking free, don't call yourself a fucking American.
What's the definition of happiness? Would you like me to give it to you?
When people like the things that are happening around them, and what do you mean? What's your definition?
So the classical definition of happiness is going to be rational activity pursued with excellence in accordance with virtue. That's happiness.
Are you happy in your life?
Yeah, dude. Going great so far.
Like that's it then.
I go to hey, dude, I go to
if I can ask a person, are you happy? And they say yes. Okay, that's it. That's happiness. That's societal happiness. You ask people, are you happy? And they say yes. And they mean it.
So can somebody claim they're happy when they're not?
Yes, of course they can.
Okay, so then that destroys your principle.
No, it does not.
You just destroyed your principle. You said that if you ask someone if they're happy, that means they're happy. And
what would be their okay? Obviously, if you have a regime that's going to punish you if you don't say that you're happy, then yeah, they're going to lie. Okay, but in theory, if we could put a lie detector on these people, yeah, sure. All that matters is that they're happy.
Yeah, your principle has to be consistent
and free.
So what the definition?
I don't care what you think is inconsistent. You're inconsistent with our genealogy, okay? I hope you never reproduce. I hope no woman ever lays you, and they probably won't, so that's good for us.
Dang, dude, that's kind of mean. I just want to reproduce.
I don't care.
I just want to have a big family.
Oh, you're so mean, bro. You're so mean. I'm just a little birthday boy with glasses. You wouldn't hit a little birthday boy with glasses. Fuck you.
Yeah, you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, right? Come on, look. I could take him off.
You're so funny. You're so funny and cute.
Oh, but here's the thing,
you're
right?
Quirky
is
too.
that my position has I can justify my position with epistemology. You cannot. I just asked you, why is happiness
your position makes the world worse. Your position makes the world worse.
How is okay? So let me ask you a question. Let's say if I could prove that homosexuality eventually makes the world worse and leads to less prosperity, would you admit that it's bad, or would you say, oh,
how the fuck would you prove that? That's a fantastical question to ask. Like, in what sense? In what sense would the world be worse? Like, people are not as happy?
Like
or is free?
Oh, maybe like if everyone's homosexual, we don't reproduce and then we can't have kids and then society ends.
Okay, what if you didn't rape that girl?
Dude, you're so cooked. You can't even justify your claims, bro. You can't.
If you didn't rape that girl, then humanity's over. If you don't rape the girl, humanity's over. You're not rizzing her. I'm telling you right now, you are not going to rizz her, okay? You have demonstrated to me that you are the least attractive person on this fucking planet. Besides maybe the people who raised you.
Wait, I'm unattractive?
Yeah, your ideology's fucked, man. This has nothing to do with how you look.
Well, you just said I was unattractive and I couldn't rizz her up. I'm unattractive.
No, you couldn't.
Besides the point.
You're
Besides the point.
inside.
Get back to the central.
You're a disgusting, rotted, fetid person.
Okay, so to get back to the central claim, right? My position, right? And I'd like to, Mace, I know we might go a little bit over, but I just want to finish. So my claim, right? The first two positions of transgenderism that I went. Okay, perfect. So the first one, the second one, autogynephilia and a gender identity disorder, both of those are falsifiable. They're obviously wrong.
Autogynephilia is, when you talk about autogynephilia, when you give cis women the same criteria, when you judge cis women by the same criteria as you do trans women, you have 90% of cis women meet the criteria for autogynephilia. Explain that.
Explain what you mean by that. Elaborate.
When you are, how do you ascribe autogynephilia? What are the criteria?
When a man, specifically a man.
Oh, only a man. Okay, so we have a double standard. Keep going. But please talk to me how inconsistent my logic is.
No, so I mean, I suppose you could have autogynephilia for women. They don't really have it, right? But they
yes, they do. If you judge cis women by the same standards as you do trans women for autogynephilia, 90% meet the criteria. It's normal. It is literally normal to be an autogynephile by that definition.
Women are horny in public for being women.
If you're judging it by the same standards as trans women, if you ask them the same questions.
So a guy like Leah Thomas, right? He posted a picture of himself of a guy.
She's a trans woman.
He posted a picture of himself with a boner outside, like with a dress on, and the boner poking through the dress, and he said, "Literally me all the time."
I don't care.
So he's sexually aroused. He's sexually aroused in public because he's pretending to be a woman. That's what he admitted on his social media.
I don't fucking care, man. I don't care. I really don't.
We don't care about the facts. So that's the first justification. The second justification is going to be a body dysmorphic disorder, in which case both of those things are falsifiable. They're both wrong. They're not in accordance with physical reality. The third one is going to be social contagion, which we obviously have because the number of trans people has skyrocketed. And even
You're the social contagion. Religion is a fucking social contagion.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 billion.
Your God is a fucking social contagion.
Dude, there's 2 billion of us for a reason. We're persuasive, dude. We persuaded the world. We created civilization.
Most of them don't even think the things that you do. Most Christians don't.
Rex, Christios Rex. I said Christios Rex.
What?
It's Latin for Christ is king. But yeah, no. So I mean, he's your God too. You don't have to be so mad. But
Jesus is hot, so I get why you cuck for him. I get it.
Wait, you said Jesus is hot?
He's hot. Yeah, he's hot.
Are you a homosexual?
I'm bisexual.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
I'm sorry. I know why you're asking. I know that I'm very attractive, and you brought up earlier fantasizing about me fucking you, but I guarantee you that's not going to happen.
Ah, darn it. Shit.
You're so cute.
Oh, dude, I really wanted to commit.
You're so funny and quirky and likable.
I really wanted to commit grave.
You're so funny and quirky and likable.
Shit.
You're so good. You're so cute.
Hey, would you?
Look at you go.
Look at you go. A debate on Jubilee?
No.
With me?
Frankly, I never want to talk to you again after this.
Oh my god, dude, I like you. You're cool, man. We had a good conversation. Come on, bro. I'm just asking you to justify your claims. Just mad. I don't understand why you're so mad. If you have the claim, look, here's the thing. You got to go study a little bit more. What needs to happen, right, is you have to go study consequentialism, neo-benthamism. You got to go study the actual philosophy that
even your mic is rejecting you.
Otherwise, you're going to get like destroyed like you keep getting right now. Like,
even your mic is rejecting you. You're cutting out.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get claim. I'm going to make a kind of statement. Can you restate the claim? We've gotten a little off topic, but can you restate the claim really quickly so I could just give a conclusion? Out of water.
I don't know what good it would do, but gender ideology, quote unquote, is a
moral panic. Moral panic. Okay, so the first thing, I think gender ideology is a moral panic, and I think it's justified. I think it's a great thing to be panicked about because it destroys civilizations, and people that perpetuate the idea are obviously predators, perverts, and degenerates. I think that all these people.
So wait, you're saying that you like a predator, pervert, and degenerate? Because you said you like
Wait,
me.
what?
You said you like me, right?
Well, you're not a homosexual. Well, I guess you're bisexual, so yeah, you are a pervert.
Do you like
for
me or
sure.
not?
Do you know what pervert is?
Do you like me or not?
Yeah, I think.
Am I a predator?
Well, I think your temperament. Yeah.
Am I a predator?
Well, if you teach kids about.
So you like a
like,
predator?
perverted
You
stuff.
admitted to liking a predator. Good job.
Well, I mean,
I'm
if
the
you're- I
I'm the
don't
one
know-
who's
I didn't know
inconsistent,
that-
though. It's me who's
All right,
inconsistent,
fellas,
though.
that is the end of this debate. I want to
Dumbass.
thank both of you
Alright.
for being on here. Alec,
bro.
if you want to go ahead and plug anything and close out this debate for you, I'll give you the go ahead.
Sure. I think I've demonstrated here that these ass fuckers are not to be listened to or taken seriously in any regard whatsoever. They're to be ridiculed and cast aside like their ideas. I don't think that Brian is a good person. I don't like Brian. I don't think that Brian should ever get married or have children because he will likely abuse them if I had to guess. Because all of his beliefs would indicate that he will. So I just like... I think that I'm correct, and I think that I put forward good reasoning as to why, because I like freedom and happiness personally. So, that's just me. I'm an American. I grew up believing in happiness and freedom and the value of those things and how that can make society a better, more prosperous place for all of us, not just those who believe in, whatever deity may or may not be out there, telling us that it's, wrong to love the people that we love or to be happy in our lives. I don't care what what that God thinks. I just, I believe in good things. I like good things, and Brian does not. Anyway, my name is Alec Gunter. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on twitch.tv/Alec Gunter. I also do crochet stuff. I am taking commissions. We got the Ice King here. So if you like crochet plushies and such things like that, you can hit me up on Discord. I do have commissions open right now. So I would very much appreciate your business. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, and I also want to point out I usually am not this high strung. I've been backing out of politics quite a bit lately, and this is my first debate that I've done in a while, which I think we can see why. Because people like this are not worth talking to. The only reason I really did this is because I was reached out to, and I thought, fuck it, why not? I got nothing else going on tonight. So anyway, that's my spiel. Thank you very much for listening to me, and also join my Discord server. You can find the link in all of my YouTube descriptions and on
Can
my
I join?
website. No.
Join?
No.
Also, to Alec's audience, we are in Platinum Politics. If you'd like to join the server, we'd like to have you in here and have a debate with anybody in your audience as well. Brian, would you like to give your closing? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to. Can you guys hear me all right, or am I lagging?
No, you're good right now.
Okay. Yeah, so my opponent just doesn't really have like justification for any epistemic principles. He doesn't understand where his ideas come from. The difference between me and him is if I've studied.
I don't care anymore. He can finish, but I'm done. Okay, there we go. So yeah, that was interesting. I mean, hopefully we can all see why I don't do debates anymore. It mainly just serves to piss me off. My camera is very lopsided. Yeah, since I can't respond to what he's saying anymore, I just don't think that it's worth even giving him the time of day. I don't believe in platforming like that, so. He was so full of himself, it makes me so mad. Yeah, that was I'm sorry, I came into this thinking I don't care how I look, I don't care how it comes off, I'm gonna tell this motherfucker how I feel to his face, and that's it. If it's I don't care about persuading anybody anymore. It doesn't fucking matter. Power. Nobody on his side.
I only joined halfway, but you handled that fool very well. He didn't understand the difference between
Brian,
positive freedom and negative freedom at all.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you very much for a tier 4 sub, Space Timid. I appreciate you very much. He was so thick-skulled he made rocks jealous. Yeah. So yeah, I don't really give a shit if you agree with me or not. Hopefully you do. If you don't, maybe this persuaded you. If it didn't, then you're stupid. Sorry, you're just a stupid person. I think that people like him are just like the worst of our society. They make things
All right,
worse
I
for
hope
everybody.
everybody in the audience enjoyed that debate. I am so glad that we got Alec in here. So glad we got him to go against Brian. You know, Brian is very integral to Platinum Politics lore, if you guys know. Yeah. So, Alec, thank you. Brian, thank you. Go buy some of Alec's crochet shit. I've been wanting to. I just haven't had the money.
Yeah. Let's go.
Where's what at?
We good here?
Well, Alec is streaming. I am recording. But hopefully next Sunday is whenever I want to get this out. But yeah. We can do that. We can thank you, fellas. And
Was that his dad? That's funny. All right. Hold on. All right. Thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it. You take care.
all right. Thank you.
The Twitch comment? What was the Twitch comment? Is that his dad standing by? Was that his dad? Was that daddy? That was his dad? Daddy's so proud of him? Oh, what a failed man. If his dad is listening to this, you fucking failed raising your son, man. You failed. I don't know what happened, but you're a failure of a father. I just want you to know that. When I have kids, they're going to be way more respectful and accepting of humans as a species than your son is. What a failure. From one man to another, do better. You did great, Alec. We all just was as frustrated as you, that dipshit. Thank you. I'm sad now. Don't be sad. Do not let these cretins make you sad. They exist. They're out there. Sometimes I lose faith in humanity, and I've voiced that. But ultimately, there are good people out there who want good things. And as long as there is one good person out there who wants good things and is just trying to live their lives, that makes life worth living. You should live your life with happiness and fulfillment. You should not let people like this scumfuck bring you down or tell you what to do. And you should try to maximize your freedom and happiness and those around you. That of those around you, the people you care about. So let this not be a deterrent to your mental health and well-being. That is not the takeaway here. The takeaway is that people like this deserve nothing but your scorn and ridicule. So since they exist, that's basically the point of their existence as this point, is for us to laugh at. So laugh. Have a good time with it. Why not? Yeah, remember, his whole thing was like freedom and happiness are not intrinsically good things. So if you really want to piss him off, be happy, be free, and by God, be gay. Your beard is so much better than his. Thank you. You forgot to define what homo meant? It means when you wear, it means when you, it means when you're gay. That's what homo means. It's not circular. I use different words, so it's not circular. I'm ashamed to believe in the same God. Is that thing? You don't believe in the same God. Don't do that to yourself. His God is fundamentally different from yours. I'm not a big religion guy, but if you're Christian and in my audience, it's fine. I accept you for whatever religion you have. I have people who are non-Abrahamic religions. I have people who like the, spiritual stuff. That's all fine and good. And to an extent, even I'm spiritual. So, I get it. I'm Muslim. You believe... Okay. I don't think that Muslims, Christians, and Jews all believe in the same God per se, because the gods
I can
all say
only be
different things.
boring vanilla cis het sach.
I can only be boring cishet. Sorry to hear that, Saga Tanuki. Thank you very much for 5 tier 1 gifted subs. Appreciate you. I understand why you don't do debates much when most of these people just take pleasure in spreading their evil views even when they got destroyed. Yeah. There's a reason I don't debate much anymore, for sure. Find a good god like Basement Cat? Who's Basement Cat? Yeah, take estrogen despite the bigots, yeah. One funny thing I want to point out is that despite the fact he said rape would be a sin, the Bible never condemns it. That's true, I should have said that. The rape never does condemn sin. Or sorry, what did I say? The Bible does not condemn rape as a sin. That's what I meant. Whatever I just said was mumbo jumbo. Did I miss anything? If you left during his closing statement, no, because I muted him. Since I was no longer capable of responding, I no longer wanted to listen to what that fucking disgusting beta male had to say. Failed male. I'm Lutheran and Church of Sweden fully accepts LGBTQIA+, so don't worry, God loves you, you are loved. There you go. See, that's fine. That's fine. If you want to get into an argument about religion and why I think that it is in some ways harmful at its roots, no matter what religion it is, then sure, we can have that conversation. But that's not the conversation we had tonight. And it's not one I frankly want to have right now, because I'm kind of exhausted. Hold on, sorry, I got a DM from somebody. Is this the guy I just debated? What was the guy's username again? I forget. I don't know if this DM is from him. One sec. Sorry, is this the guy I just debated or someone else? I don't remember. Yeah, I don't either. I hope I never remember. I want his existence purged from my memory. He's gonna try and convince you about that sodomizing you fantasized over. Sorry, like, it doesn't matter how attractive I find him physically, like, mentally, like, I've said this before, the older I get, the less it's about how you look, and the more, like, don't get me wrong, I still have preferences, but, like, you have to be physically attractive to me, and also not be a piece of shit, you know? I think this man genuinely thinks he had a good combo and that's scary. His brain is fried. There's no saving him. Short of, like, forcing him into a re-education camp, which I'm not necessarily condoning, there's no saving him. So I just want his opinions to not be listened to. I want him to go away. You know, someone's cooked when they argue being happy isn't good. Yeah, it's like crazy. It's like, he'll be tweeting now, I won. I won't. I've been largely off Twitter. I've checked back here and there. But the more I'm on Twitter, the less happy I am. And since I believe in maximizing happiness for myself, I have stopped. Like I said before the debate, I've also stopped smoking, although that's for a drug test. I also stopped drinking, though. Like, I drank a little bit last night, but I just had like 1 can of Jack Daniel's 8%. But like other than that, I really haven't drank at all like the last week. Which sounds like a lot, but you know, I was drinking like more than once a week before, so. Yeah, Twitter's garbage now anyway. Any combo is a good combo for him. He just wanted to do a circus ring. Yeah, that's why I was like, okay, welcome to the circus, bitch. Be our clown. Be our clown. Yeah, alcohol is good for you. I forgot. You he should drink lots and lots and lots is what he should do. Because drinking alcohol is good for you. If you have to go around telling people you won, then you didn't really win. It reminds me of, do you guys remember Exulanzic at all? Very outspoken detransitioner who is obsessed with that one trans woman who's completely fine with her life. I can't remember what that other girl's name is, but this detransitioner, Exulanzic, like 2 years ago, we had a debate, and then after the debate, she made like a 4-part video series about why she actually won the debate. It was crazy. And then like she sporadically like DM'd me, or not DM'd, sorry, that's a lie. She tagged me in posts. Like years later, I had completely forgotten that Exulanzic as an entity existed. And then out of the ether comes this notification. I just decided to check Twitter one day a few months ago, and then out of the ether, there she is, tagging me and saying that like I believe in trans mermaids or whatever. And I'm like, do you have something you want to say to me? Like, these people are freaks, man. Freaks. And it's so funny, like he's saying he likes me, and at the same time he's saying, well, these people are groomers and abusers. And it's like, then why do you like me? That's such a self-own, bro. You can't be cute and say, oh, I actually like you, bro. And then be like, oh, but also you're like a groomer and a child rapist and like all this other stuff. Like, you can't do both. You can be cute and say you like me. Like let's put it this way. If I were arguing with somebody who were like slightly less crazy, right? Let's say that you have a libertarian. Libertarians. There are some libertarians I do like. I think that their minds are in the right place for the most part. Especially if they're pro-LGBT. Like, a lot of libertarians are pro-LGBT, which is very important right now. But anyway, let's say that we have like a pro-LGBT libertarian that we're debating on like economics. And this person, for instance, there's somebody in my server like this, and I kept them around in the server for a while. Because I like them. I'm like, I think you want good things, man. I think eventually he kind of tipped his hand and said some shit. But like, I do genuinely believe that a lot of libertarians do want good things. They just are confused and need help. That's the time I would pull the card. When I'm like, listen, I don't think you're a bad person. I like you. I would have a drink with you. But man, like the end state that you imagine for our society is kind of messed up. Like you have not thought through the implications. When you have somebody who has not thought through the implications, I can like that person. I can get along with them.
What we really have to worry about are the bride. Conservatives
I don't mind
are all
librarians.
about the child brides.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Sakatanuki, for another 5 tier 1 gifted subs. Appreciate you very much, my man. Yeah, no, it's always conservatives and religious fundamentalists that want the child brides, right? Like, it's so funny. He had no answer for, like, he's the one who brought up the apocalypse scenario. What if everybody who survives the apocalypse is gay, is gay? Except for him. Like, he's got, like, 10 lesbians and him. You know? He had no good answer for it. I'm proud of that one. I'm glad that I pulled that one out of my ass there. That was really good. I think that's the strat. I think I used to think too much about these debates. I'm not going to overthink it anymore. I'm just going to roll in. Like, I even looked up that study that I didn't know about. And I said, okay, like my position was, if the study you're saying is what you are saying, why do you trust that one and not the others? That was my initial position. But then I looked up the study, realized, oh my God, I've seen this before, and then made the point about the respirators. Like, it requires, like, no prep time. I will say, though, when it comes to, I do have a debate coming up with, not Brian Holdsworth. I don't know why I thought him. Who's that gay guy? The gay grifter. I know there are a lot of them, but like the one that I was going to debate. No? I do think that I have to do some prep with him is my point. Brad Palumbo, thank you. I do think that I have to do some debate prep with him. I think I respect him a little bit more just because I think he's smarter. And he kind of knows what he's doing. And I don't want to be made a fool of. So I would do probably a little bit more prep with him. And also, I don't think that all of his opinions are dog shit. I think that he rails against the trans community really hard. And he like feeds into, like he's disgusting. He feeds into that same mentality. But I do think he's a lot smarter and a lot more prepared. And I do kind of want to prep for that. I don't know when our debate's going to be yet. But I am in contact with him. I think he saw the last video I released. So yeah. It's just I have a lot of coming up this month. Don't do Robbie Rotten like that. I might. We'll see. The thing about that, what I did was you have to earn it. I've said this before. I know I said I'm not thinking too hard about it, but like you do have to earn that. You know what I mean? You can't just immediately pop off and be like, well, you suck. You're scum. You're cancer. Like, you can't just start off with that. You have to establish why this person is cancerous. And I did. He's cancerous because he hates freedom and happiness. He wants you to not be free or happy. Or at the very least, he doesn't prioritize that. He prioritizes other things. Like, not being gay. For some reason, or you know, like it's so funny because he's talking so much about like the proliferation of the human species. Man can't even like balls up. Like I've had people admit to me before that like, yeah, I would rape that person. Not very often, but it happens. Like that's cornering him. Like he wouldn't, because on the one hand, you're inconsistent if you say you wouldn't, and on the other hand, you're a rapist if you say you would. Is it on June 20th? No. We were initially going to do June 20th, and I told him it was fine, but then I recalled I actually have to go to my brother's wedding party. I'm getting a bunch of mentions, hold on. By that I mean one. And it's in an announcement. Augustine, that's the guy I just debated. Okay, so this isn't that guy. I just told this person I might bring him on. He wants to come on for like a post-debate interview for some reason. I don't know who this person is. So I'm just like, what? Maybe. What do you want? What do you want to talk about? That one person Alec debated like 6 months ago is like Blair White, but on steroids. Who was that? That was another hater of mine. I forget her name. She was a trans woman, right? When I was playing, you know what I should have done? I should have fucking, Risk of Rain open. Mary, oh yeah, Mary Chu, that's right, Mary Chu. Yeah, she was a dumbass. Uh-oh. I mentioned her name for 2 seconds, and now she has 5 hours worth of content to make on me. My bad. I love Risk of Rain 2. I've been playing it a lot recently. I've been playing any games. I've been doing this. The person who commissioned this told me, I just put a little tie on him today, too. You see that? Just put a little tie on him. He just needs pinstripes on the pants, and then he's good to go. That's what I didn't buy. Ah! Damn it. I was just at Michael's today, and I told myself I was going to buy the yarn I need for his pinstripes, and I didn't get it. Is crocheting really fun? It's Yeah, I think so. Like at first, like it's a little tedious just learning the basics, but once you learn the basics and you learn to get good at it, and you like learn, like you follow patterns at first, right? But then as you're following the patterns, you realize why the patterns are the way they are, and then you start to like math the math. You start to realize like, okay, I need a stitch here, I need double stitch here, I need a half crochet, double crochet, treble crochet, all of which like the doubles and trebles really don't come into play a lot with plushies, which are my favorite. But yes, crocheting I think is very accessible and very fun to do. Yes, it depends also on what you want to make. Like at first, I was making clothing. So I made, the reason I got into crocheting, since we have a larger audience here right now, is I wanted to make a gift for my wife, who at the time was my fiance, but now my wife. So I wanted to make her something that year. So I decided I was going to make her, well, first I thought I'll 3D model. I'll learn how to 3D model things. And I thought that at the beginning of the year, and I was like, yeah, I'll learn this. And then I did it, and I'm like, this, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I tried, it was kind of fun, but like, it was too, I can't describe it. Like, it's tricky. It's very specific, and it's not for me, I don't think. But later on, we were getting closer and closer to her birthday, and I was like, oh, fuck, maybe I'll just buy her something. But then I thought, no, wait. Kara, my sister, knits. So maybe, like, I can learn to do something like that and make her a hood from her favorite character, Corazon from One Piece. One of her favorite characters. So, definitely her top favorite from One Piece, but in general, like, she likes Tony Stark, etc. She's just one of her favorite characters of all time. So, Corazon from One Piece. So, he's got a very specific hood that he wears. And so I decided, I'm going to learn how to make that. And I looked up a tutorial, and the first one I found was learn how to crochet it. So I did. Bought the hook, bought the yarn, and I did it. And she still has it. And I started with clothes, and then I started making like these Gunter balls, I called them, which are technically still for sale on my Etsy store, but I'm gonna take them off. I'm gonna restart on the Etsy. Except for the Pokemon dolls. I think I'm gonna leave the Pokemon dolls, but sell them at a discount because I don't really want them anymore. But I'm gonna take everything else off. I want to, if I do make more Gunter balls, it's gonna be with this type of yarn. They're gonna be nice and soft and pliable, and they'll be easier to make too, and they'll look better. So I'll bring the Gunter balls back. You can buy one for like $5 or something. Because I think I made them a little too expensive before, but now that I'm good at this, like, it'll take me no time at all to make a Gunter. In fact, I can make one right now. One right now? Let's do it. While I'm talking. So, and then I'm going to, what I've decided is I'm going to take my plushies, right? And I'm going to go to markets with them. Specifically, like, I want to go to, like nerd conventions, you know? Like, me and Katie go to Indie PopCon every year because I have a free admission pass. Thank you. I got to meet, the way that I won it was in a tournament that was just like a little gaming thing that they do for fun every year. Not gaming per se, just like the gaming was part of it. Anyway, I got to meet the completionist, Gerard the completionist, right before his whole scandal went down. So that was a little awkward, but it wasn't awkward at the time, but it was awkward afterward. Anyway, I want to open up stands at these things. So I think next year, either next year or later this year, I might look for some smaller markets first, but I want to start opening markets and then charge like a specific price for these plushies, you know? And then I want to like upcharge 150% on Etsy. You know what I mean? So like if you want to buy, and the reason I do that is very practical, because if you want to buy it on Etsy for an upcharge, I'm willing to part with it. But I think they're more valuable to me in the market for display. I think it makes my market look better. I think it makes it more attractive. And so if you want it from Etsy, you can have it. You just have to pay a little extra. And I think that's fair. So I'm thinking like 150% markup on Etsy. That way, if they don't sell, I'll sell them at the market for cheaper. Okay, we're on our third row now. Definitely, I put up a table at a convention. Some stickers too. Yeah, I should bring my stickers. I don't know how much I want to go for the branding. You know what I mean? Like, I've gotten recommendations to put my brand on, like, crochet my brand or embroider my brand onto the plushies. I don't know. I feel like that kind of, like, it's like a watermark, almost. I don't want to taint my work. Maybe a tag. I'd be willing to put, like, a tag on it. You know? But then it's like you can just take the tag off, so I don't know. Maybe it's not worth it. I don't think that would be very good for advertising anyway. Like, this is my main mode of advertisement right here. We'll just make a little guy. We'll just make a little guy. We'll make a little bowl. Do 3 rows here. Hold on, I got DMs. I gotta check after this row. My dad hates knitting. He's taken to Googling who has died recently. Oh, geez, that's an interesting pastime. But yeah, as far as the debate goes, like, if I'm forced to interact with these people, they're gonna know what I think of them. And I don't care. They will be used for my amusement and entertainment. So that's 1 row. This will be 2. Most important is your crochet project. They should definitely be on a market. Yeah. I agree. So like the shuckle, for instance. Here, I'll show you guys the WIP on the shuckle after this row. But the shuckle at the market, maybe like 250. If you want it online, what's 150% of 250? Somebody do the math. I don't feel like it. But it would be that on Etsy. 4 more stitches real quick. 375, perfect. I think that's a perfectly fine price for the shuckle, and you'll understand when you see it. Okay, it's not done yet. It's a work in progress. But for those who haven't seen it yet, this is our life-size shuckle here. Okay, I was inspired because it's my brother's second favorite Pokemon after Poliwhirl. So I think I did a pretty good job on it. He's got like partially flexible limbs here so that he doesn't just dangle limply. It's going to be really nice once it's done. Thank you. He's a very simple one. Like, once you break it up into its like core pieces and then put it all together, that's how you do good plushies. You break up. It's like how you draw. It's exactly like how you draw or sculpt. You break it up into its core shapes and then you just mold it into that shape. And then stitch it all together. So, yeah, he's gonna be sick. And also wires help. Don't learn how to wire your crochet projects right away, but it's very helpful down the line if you want flexible plushies. All right, we're almost done with this. We got 2 more rows. Then we're gonna put my logo on it. The Gunter balls do get the logo. Every Gunter ball gets the logo. Oh yeah, last night, what's so funny is like I'm really good at like the complicated stuff, but I'm not nearly as good at the simple stuff. So like Legoshi, I think looks great. Shuckle looks fantastic. I tried to make a cat last night, like one of those like very simple, round, loaf-looking cats, and I failed at it. It looked like a polar bear. I'm like, ah, shit. Because I wanted something that I could just whip up real quick, you know? But yeah, guess I gotta look up a pattern for that one. I don't really use patterns anymore, though. I feel like it's cheating. Okay, I need 4 more stitches here. Love that shuckle, thank you. Is it a ladybird or a corn on the cob? The shuckle? That's for you to decide, brother. I didn't gender it. I didn't put a dick on it, if that's what you're asking. Or a goober. It's not a fuck toy. And frankly, I don't know how it would feel making a shuckle fuck toy. Feel like that'd be a little weird. Like if you want to do that once you get your product, that's not my business. But I don't know, like... I don't know if I want to be in the business of selling sex toys. I feel like that's a little beyond my scope. Because, like, then you gotta worry about, like, okay, you're advertising it as a sex toy, so, like, what if you get hurt while doing it? Damn it, I just undid a stitch. Hold on. Like, they're not... I'm not doing that. I am making a life-size Mewtwo, though. So, you know, I'm just putting that out there. Okay, I gotta stuff this thing. It's not gonna be... Okay, I take that back. It's not gonna be life-sized. It's gonna be, like, slightly below life-size. How would you knit a sex toy, though? I mean, you can literally, like, make a skeleton. You literally could. You could make a skeleton, right, out of wire or something. Or not. You don't have to. Just make it flat, like, floppy. You, make the opening, and then you put nice material there.
I've been spending months working on a crochet plush, and it's taken half that time to just get the right colors for the pattern I bought off Etsy.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Thank you very much for another 5 tier 1 gifted subs. Very much appreciate you, Saga Taneki, always. Another thing you don't want to get caught up in when you're first starting, especially, is getting the stitching exactly right. If you end a row and you've accidentally added or subtracted a stitch, don't do what I do, because I go back and frog the stitch, or frog the row, and I keep frogging rows until I find where I fucked up, and then I continue. And when I first started, that made it hell. It made me quit projects. It almost made me give up crocheting. Just roll with it. Do what you gotta do to get the right stitches at the end of the row and move on. You're gonna have a small mistake in your work, and that's fine. It's not a big deal. Run with the mistakes at first. Once you become a professional, then you can be a perfectionist. And even I still, like, cheat a little bit like that. How would, I already answered that. Crocheted bondage gear? I guess you could, right? Here, hold on, I gotta close this. So, I'll show you how this is closed. So now, our ball is finished. We cut the yarn, boom, like that. We pull the thread through so that it knots just like that, boom. And now you'll see we still have a little opening right there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our needle, right here, oh, and we're gonna close that shut. So you're just gonna pretend that this is the mouth of a conservative, and we're just gonna sew that bad boy shut so that we never have to see the insides again. 1, 2, sheep testicle. The ones I sell on Etsy are gonna be bigger than this one. I might make mini ones for cheaper, but I just wanted to demonstrate that this is not a super complicated process. The balls are the easiest to make. Balls, cylinders, basically anything with like a round structure to it. Pretty simple. So now that's stitched shut, so we just go through the material, pull that tight, stuff that bad boy in. If you got a pair of scissors, which we just used, scissors work great. Keep them closed. So now to get rid of that tail, unless you want the tail, but I usually don't, especially not with this type of yarn. You just stuff that bad boy in. That's another reason I like plushies. When you're working with clothing, you have to hide it. You have to hide the end thread, like in the fabric. But with plushies, you just stuff it in. That's how you hide it. Boom. Easy peasy. So now, my theme song's playing. Well, one of my theme songs. So now we thread the black unless some other color has been requested. But we thread the black, we enter anywhere, but we come out the place where we want the logo to start, at the top, right? And then we go down, let's just say here. Now this part is actually the trickiest part in my opinion. I might fuck this up a couple of times. So we're gonna go down here, come out. Yeah, we'll go out that end, good. Make sure you pull enough thread through too, like that. You should have plenty on there because once you start with this process, it's tricky to pull more thread through. So get plenty of thread pulled through. If it's too much, it's not a big deal. Oh wait, not that, not there. No, we don't want it there. We want it here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we want it there and through here. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Don't leave. If you're bored, fuck you. A little lopsided, but it's fine. I did it wrong. Hold on. Yeah, that's good. Okay. It's not gonna be perfect, but this is a rush job. That's pretty good. Here, I know how to fix this. Hold on. It's a little bit. So it's a little bit weird looking. We'll fix it right quick. We just got to rewind a little bit. It's just tricky to tell how it's going to look before you start. That looks really accurate. Thank you. Straight lines are easy. It's the curves that get you. But there are methods. Hold on. There we go, okay. I just messed it up. Like I said, I'm a perfectionist, so I just messed it up a little bit. We're fixing it right quick. Nice ball, thank you. I tend to have nice balls. Good theme, thank you. I found it on the internet randomly. I'm glad you like it. I've been thinking about commissioning a new theme song, honestly. My graphics designer is also a great, which I haven't spoken to in a long time, actually. But my graphic designer is also a great music artist. Shit, what did I do? I fucked this up somehow. Hold on. This is like the worst part. This is the worst part of crocheting right here, is embroidery. That's what it's called. I couldn't think of the word for it. Embroidery. What did I'm starting over. Fuck this. You guys get the idea. I'll do it later. You know what? No, I have to prove my mettle. This is a simple project. I'm gonna do this. Just give me 2 seconds. We'll make this work. Okay. Sorry, it was fine before. I'm just a perfectionist. Don't mind me. Now it's too small. Did I miss the debate? Yes, you did. It was mostly just him being very wrong and me being very yelly. Damn it, how's that work? Sorry. You can always watch the VOD. In 1,000 years from now, this one ball will be found. And they'll wonder what strange purpose it served. Yeah. This was a religious... Scholars think that this was part of a religious ritual. The problem with chenille is once you start messing with it too much, it starts to shed way too much, and then you can't work with it much anymore. Yeah, very yelly. I just, like, I went into it not giving a shit what I sounded like. I was like, I have no idea who this guy is. I don't know what his opinions are going to be. They're probably going to be dog shit, and that's what I'm going to expect, but, you know, like... If he's wrong, I'm going to tell him if he's wrong. If he's an idiot, I'm going to tell him that he's an idiot. And if he's an ass stain on society, which he is, I'm going to tell him that. You know, this isn't about optics anymore. We're past that. Oh, my special little opinion. Oh, no. Oh no, my special little opinion isn't being respected. What am I gonna do, guys? But it's my opinion and I had it. Why don't you respect it? Oh no. I'm just a little guy. And then he tried to be all cute. Fuck you, man. There, oh, that looks so much better. I'm so glad I redid this. There we go. Okay, that's better. Okay, and then what you got to do is you got to come out the same hole that you went in. Pause, and you cut again. Have you guys heard of that? Like people saying pause whenever they say something that could be perceived as an innuendo? Because I have, and so I've started saying it. Yeah, a little more on with a slave kink, yeah. I'm not entirely sure how you got the slave kink, but I don't imagine that that's wrong. So, we tuck our threads in, and then we're good to go. Cut some of that. There we go. Have less to work with. Okay. Boom. Gunter ball. Ready to go. Perfect for school. And this actually might be the perfect size. I said this was going to be a mini Gunter ball, but I think this might be the perfect size. $3. $3. You put it in, pause, and then, yeah. Okay. Should I do anything else, or am I done? I gotta decide. Alex showing his balls on stream. Oh no, I'm gonna get demonetized. Also, chenille, if you decide to work with it, it sheds a lot. So, get a lint roller. Invest in a lint roller. $3.01. $2.99. Only $2.99. You guys remember who was a PewDiePie enjoyer back in the day? Because I was. Unfortunately, I've heard things about him like leading people down the alt-right pipeline, and I'm not going to say that he didn't do that, but I did used to enjoy him, and I won't comment on how I feel about him right now, because I don't know very much about him. But he had a chair that he sold, and his whole thing was like, you can have this chair for only $2.99. He had like this funny voice that he did. I don't think PewDiePie means wrong, I just think he's stupid sometimes. I say right after I said that I wouldn't give my opinion on him. I used to shell him back in 2013. I just got back from watching the first part of the debate. Are the debate boys just dumber now? It's just this is what they've always believed. This has always been their mindset. I don't think anything about their brains has fundamentally changed, except they feel like they can just be more mask off now and get away with it. Sorry, DMing some people. This guy is still wanting to hop on here. Maybe I'll have him on before I end. Maybe it'll be fun. We'll see. But first, I'm gonna take a break. Go to the bathroom. Maybe get some sody pop, and then we'll see what this guy has to say. Be right back.
You know me, the fighting freak Knuckles, and we're at Pumpkin Hill. You ready? I ain't gonna let it get to me. I'm just gonna creep down in Pumpkin Hill. I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here. I can sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I'm gonna hold my head, cause I have no fear. This probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. Our ghosts try to approach me and got leery. Ask him a question and he vanished in a second. I'm walking through valleys, crying pumpkin in the alley. Didn't seem happy, but they sure tried to get me. Had to back them up with a fist metal crackle. I'm hearing someone saying, you a chicken, don't be scared. It had to be the wind, cause nobody wasn't there. I searched and I searched as I climbed up the wall. And then I started to fly, I went in deeper. Let it get to me, I'm just gonna creep. Down Pumpkin Hill, I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I gotta hold my head, I have no fear. It probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. A ghost try to approach me, he got leery. just gonna creep. Down in Pumpkin Hill, I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I can sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I'm gonna hold my head, cause I have no fear. This probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. Our ghosts try to approach me and got leery. Ask him a question and he vanished in a second. I'm walking through valleys, crying pumpkins in the alley. Didn't seem happy, but they sure tried to get me. Had to back them up with a fist metal crackle. I'm hearing someone saying, you a chicken, don't be scared. It had to be the wind, cause nobody wasn't there. I searched and I searched as I climbed up the wall. And then I started to fly, I went in deeper. Let it get to me, I'm just gonna creep. Down Pumpkin Hill, I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I gotta hold my head, I have no fear. It probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. A ghost try to approach me, he got leery. Spooky up in here, it's crazy in here. We still gon' keep it going, I'm Knuckles. Nobody scares me. Whoever wanted, bring it. I don't care, we can do this. Then come step up to the plate and meet your match. It ain't no thing.
Okay, I'm back. I don't think I'm gonna go for much longer. I just, I'm tired. People like him exhaust me. And also, the person who wants to talk to me, I don't know who they are, they just want to set something up with me, so whatever. I guess not tonight. I was gonna bring them on right now, but they don't want to do it tonight, so... I've seen some pretty horrific chats, like full-on Nazi shit. Like in here. I need more YouTube moderators. The Pepe emotes are fantastic, Hot Take Andy. I'll have you know. Just if you scour YouTube, there's some dodgy shit. Gotcha. Who cares? Like, nobody cares. YouTube certainly doesn't. If anything, it helps to moderate the algorithm when people are hateful pieces of shit. That's capitalism. I think I'm gonna call it. What happened with the Bug King himself, Mr. Gold? I mean, we did a joint stream with, like a collab with Nyara VT, but we just talked about him a little bit. We didn't do any, like, I didn't have Asmongold on, if that's what you think. Ugh. Okay. Is there anybody alive that I know of? At the very beginning of the stream, there's a guy with the nickname European Sneaker with a sword jack, PFP, and a Nazi World War II uniform was talking nonsense in the chat. A living stereotype. Nice. Is he banned? Hopefully he's banned. Here, we haven't raided Seductive Seaweed in a while. We'll do that. Okay, you guys are going to the Seductive Seaweed. I want to thank you all very much for being here. I love you all. If you are on YouTube, you can go to the site chat, or you can go to the site in order to get to Seductive Seaweed's Twitch channel. Like I said, this is why I don't do debates very much anymore. It's useless. It's a useless endeavor. It serves only to be entertainment, blood sports, whatever. So that I gave the people what they wanted. And I wanted that motherfucker to know what he thought of me a little bit. So, or what I thought of him. My bad. So, now that he knows, he can do with that what he will. So yeah, I'm out. I'm gonna go spend some time with my wife if she's in the mood. You all have a lovely night. Take care of yourselves. Happy Pride! Be sure to have lots of pride in who you are and never apologize for it. And never let these scumfucks make you miserable. It's the message I'll leave you with. Alright, take care of yourselves, guys. See you on Tuesday. Oh yeah, quick announcement. I will be collabing with Nekosaurus on Tuesday. So if you're a fan of Nekosaurus, which you should be, tune in for that. We'll have a good time. We'll talk about some stuff. We're not sure what yet, but it'll be something to look out for. So, anyway. Good night, everybody.